Sneak This Podcast. This is Closet episode number 6. Hopefully me and George will be back in the studio soon. We're just kind of taking it, one day at a time, being smart about the process, even though some areas in Arizona have opened back up. We're just kind of taking the process one day at a time. So we appreciate everybody who's listening, like, subscribes, and all that. We have a special guest on right now. And like she said, this has been a long time coming. Okay, some of you guys may know her as Jasmine, but the internet, social media, sneaker community knows her as Kixie Jixie.
You're
What up?
you're
You're
get a good old New York good old fashioned you're. I'm very
yeah.
excited to actually be on with you. I think
I know I am.
it is a long time coming, but you have such very valid opinions and episodes and very strong opinions, and sometimes I don't agree with them. So I argue with you. You just don't even know it. While I'm watching the episode, we're having like this whole, I'm listening to it, we're having like a whole battle because I'm like, how are you going to say something like that? Like, I think the last
In
one was the millennial pink and the rust pink. I,
Oh, come
you
on.
know what? It's thought provoking because I did agree. Like the Alayli May, she has too many syllables in her name, so I just always like la 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 la. I say la 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 la
I
May.
know.
So
It's
la la
such
la
a
la
hard
May
name to pronounce.
sixes are. It's like such a hard sneaker. You know, a six is a hard sneaker, and the most special thing about the sneaker is the infrared. And then here you go and make it millennial pink and give it a nice suede, and it just gives it a whole different vibe and feel. So I was absolutely loving that sneaker. So, but I do like the one, but I'm just so over ones right now. A year ago, I would have picked the one over the six. Now I won't.
You won't?
Nah, I love the six over the one.
The Jordan 6 is my favorite Jordan sneaker of all time. But I have said, like, for the last few episodes, I mean, for a while now, the Jordan 6 colorways, I think, out of all the Jordan models, might have the worst colorways. Like, I Jordan 6's colorways are just awful.
Well, for the design, I don't think that it's awful completely. I just think for the design, they can color block it better. They can change the sole color better. They can do so many different things. It's such a versatile Jordan, just like a seven. You know, they're so similar, but they stick to
Right.
some very classic colorways. I don't know why they've been using so much whites throughout history. They've made it a base model white. But I do love sixes. I mean, I think it's just like a beautiful silhouette. It's just like the symbol of what a basketball sneaker kind of should look like. Um, but I
Which is funny because I always tell everybody, because people always get on me because one of my other favorite sneakers of all time is a Reebok Kamikaze 2. And I said the one reason why I love the Kamikaze 2 because back when it originally came out, it was just like a Jordan 6 and Jordan 7. It had the very similar silhouette where the toe box kind of came to a little bit of a point. And, with the Jordan 6, I always felt like, and especially with the Alele May, once it like when you stay with the solid color, it's just much better.
well, the Reebok Kamikaze is just probably one of my favorite. It goes on. That's probably goes on my top 10 of all time. So
Oh,
with with I have my OG Sean Kemp's. You know, I often pull them out, and my
right.
Raymons, and my Miami, my why am I blanking on it? Orlando's. Sorry. So I think like the Reebok Kamikaze is just it was so dope, but in comparison to the Jordan, the quality and the material was way better. So I Reebok has just a way of using like well they used to because I still have a 93 94 that's in perfect condition. I could wear it in the rain and the snow. I actually do. And it's still kicking as opposed to some of my Jordans that please they're crumbled already.
Oh yeah, and I love when I talk about Reeboks. Like a lot of people that listen to the podcast, actually, just people on social media, just in general in the sneaker community, they are not Reebok fans, and a lot of them are basing that opinion off what they now. They're
Well,
not thinking of back in the
there's
day.
not much information. Like I don't think that Reebok does um I don't see their advertisements. I also don't see their history. So, you know how Nike is always putting out their history, they have all these campaigns. Like when Reebok came out with the Club C again, they
Right.
came out with Cardi B in a commercial. So it doesn't tell the story of the sneaker. It doesn't say why the sneaker was so important. It doesn't say what's so dope about it. But I will say that Reebok has they use a type of leather, garment leather, that is far superior than like any other leather used in sneakers. And that's what makes it so amazing, because the I collect Reebok 5411s. I always have. It's like one of my favorites. It's the sneaker I credit to making me a sneaker collector. Just
Hmm.
because when the sneaker came out, I wanted every single color. I envisioned having boxes of sneakers and all of the different colors. And from there it was like, all right, now I'm gonna get all the colors of every sneaker. So that sneaker is made with just leather, you know, it has no padding under the interior. It's just meant to perform it was meant for aerobics, so it was meant to work out, it was meant for performance. And it has the ankle straps for stability. So it's a very good engineered silhouette. And it was the first sneaker for women, specifically made for women. So that is its importance in history. And it's like not many young women understand or celebrate that. And a lot of our history is not written. So you can't just go online and read it.
Well, it's funny that you talk about with like Reebok in history. Long, long time ago, and I was talking about Reeboks and stuff on the podcast. Um, I kept saying that Reebok doesn't show its history, and then when it does retro its sneakers, it almost at times tries to phase out the athlete. The only ones they ever really, really celebrate was Iverson and Shaq, but with like the Sean Kemps, even when they did dropped some of the Reeboks, they didn't put the Kemp on kind of near the toe box, like the first lace loop.
Right.
On the OG Kamikaze 2s, it would say Kemp. And then they removed that. And a lot of people don't even remember Kemp, with the Sonics. We're so amazed by the athletes and dunks we see now. But Sean Kemp was one of those original dunkers. I mean, those campaigns back in the day with the magazines with like Sean Kemp wearing the raincoat, in Seattle with the Reeboks on, like the
Oh,
Raymon,
let's not get it
just a
twisted.
lot of that.
Advertisements, including athletes, was on fleek back in the day. Cause
Oh yeah.
you can look at an old Vibe or Word Up magazine and see like Grant Hill in his Filas. You can see like all kinds of different athletes just actually either in costume or performing or
Right.
being creative. And it was a way to show that the athlete is versatile, and that's what sold sneakers. Nowadays they give so many concepts to these sneakers, like Kyrie's, KD's, all these lines, LeBron's. All they're doing is giving it concept, but they're trying to bring the personality out through the design and leave the creativity and the campaigns to connect to the people. And I really miss the way they used to connect the athlete to their creativity, to then the model and then the consumer. So it
Well,
was a different.
somebody had got a little upset with me because I kept saying that a lot of these companies, we're the marketing and the advertising for this company. Like every time
We're a piece
I
of it, right?
post, yeah. And so why would a company need to throw out a commercial for just the sneaker? A lot of the Nike campaigns and stuff like now it's just more about sports, about women accepting, you know, the sport within itself. It's not really about, yo, this is about to come out. I mean, the last time we actually, there were a few recent Jordan commercials that had Russell Westbrook in it. And that was probably about 3, 4 years ago. But they depend on us. Actually, they don't even depend on it. They know we're going to market it for them, whether we know it or not.
See, influencer marketing is different from actually. See, influencer marketing in 20 years from now will never tell the story of a sneaker, as opposed to what we know 20 years ago. We understand the sneaker because of the marketing that was done, the story and the history. But 20 years from now, they're going to rewrite the history of all these sneakers because of influencer marketing. I think influencer marketing has done so much damage to what we do, because in every other industry, I'll use makeup for example. If you are a makeup artist, you use makeup, you these companies send boxes of makeups to you along with checks. These sneaker companies don't send checks along with those sneakers. So what happens is
Right.
they rely on influencers to, for free, accept these sneakers, be hyped for product, because everybody knows they get hyped for free product. So they get hyped for product. They take these pictures, they post these professional grade pictures that they allow these companies to repost. And this is millions and millions of dollars of marketing. And what happens now when you want to get paid? What happens now when you want to actually branch out in the business sector because you've been a collector so long? We've done harm to that side of the world. So because the industry knows that part of the glamour of sneaker collecting is like showing it off online like a show and tell, they don't take working with influencers as seriously as they should because it's all free marketing. So they do have
Well,
marketing dollars and budgets to do events, to do content, and to tell stories, and the stories are really important.
and that's I always used to get on people about how hard they would ride for like stance socks and stuff. And this is nothing against stance socks,
Right.
but I would see a lot of people, they would buy hundreds of pairs of these socks to post online in hopes to, just like you said, get free product. A lot of people in the sneaker community would be very satisfied with free product. I
I'm not.
remember
I've never have
I'm
been.
not either.
I never have been, and I never will be. Why? Because for 30, how old am I? I'm 38. For 32 years, I've been buying my own, sneakers. My family has bought my sneakers. My sneaker collection is a representation of the love in my life. The people that love me, my mother, my father, my grandmother, my cousin, me, my honey, so that's what my
Right.
collection represents, because everybody who's had to deal with my sneaker loving ways. But now it's like, you know, we have free product all over the place, and it's like it's not even the product that I truly want collecting for so long. So it's like I'm doing the brands a favor by, and this is a key word, this is what they need and this is what they want: authenticity. They want this product authenticated by the G's who people are really looking at. I know people with hundreds and thousands of followers that have no selling power. They can't sell nothing from their pages. But then you have people with 10,000 followers who could sell 1,000 products look, with the blink of their eye. So it's like the brands have been looking at playing the numbers game for so long, and now we're in another phase of this whole digital space where it's like time to get to know, time to tell stories, time to connect a little more deeper. And these brands, they know that. And I think, now with the current climate, everybody has to rethink the strategy in the sneaker space. They have to rethink influencer marketing. They have to rethink, because now you can see who the real content creators are. Because now that everybody's home, everybody has an opportunity to be creative. And you get to see now who's the real creators, who's really out there, like really making content, really exploring sneakers, and the people who kind of tapped out because this is not what they do. Like me personally,
Kixie,
yeah.
Kixie. I just clutched my chest. Everything you're saying is so right. It sounds so good. It's so right. First of all, real quick, you talk about, us having little arguments, whatever, and here and there. And then some of the stuff I say doesn't necessarily apply to you, especially how this conversation even got together, me talking about women and stuff like that. And you saying you're 38, that's why you're different than a lot of other
You get it
people
now?
on here.
But
What you just said was so right. I've been saying this. Creativity is something that's going to be tested now. These companies, these brands are going to really look and say, what did they really do for me? Once this all clears up, influence, creativity, like you said, is going to change.
The
And
brands
we
are never
can't
the
be and
ones, to initiate something. They're never the ones to be the first to do something creatively. They have to see it
right.
first and see the response, and then they jump in.
100%. And the thing that you said about, like, I like for our podcast, I there is something specific that I want for our show. I've been offered many things, yo, we'll give you guys 3 t-shirts a month, yada yada yada, and I won't do it.
Right.
Like, and anybody that comes to me with something, I say no, I want money. Like, I'm not going to just start writing for stuff and cheapen the product that I've created, the product that this podcast is not easy to do, and we're at
A-
199
And it
episodes.
also has a cost associated to it.
It
Your
does.
time, your equipment, your creativity, that all has a price associated with it. But if brands don't listen to podcasts like this, if they don't hear
Right.
us talking like this, a little bit more elevated, where we're connecting the sneaker, the culture with the brands and the industry, then they won't know truly. And what happens is now they're listening and they're getting inspired by this, and they're getting more information about the knee deep culture through this, and they're understanding us better. I mean, they've always studied us like roaches. That's how they know what's a retro, we're like little roaches, and they're just looking at us all over the place. And they understand what we want, where certain sneakers should come out at, what's popular in one place versus another. They index us. So they have all the research on us. But what they can't get, is 100% is that authenticity. And they can't get that new creativity that comes out of us as individuals.
I'm gonna tell you this. I've done, like I said, me and George have reached 199
It's
episodes. I've
amazing.
done a few episodes in this closet. This is already just a conversation we're having. This is already in my top 5 episodes we've done.
That's
I am appreciated. So let's go back
And it's
just
a woman
to
too.
you.
Bomb, 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 bomb.
But see, look at this. Look at this. This is a woman who's been in the game for a while. When I look and when a lot of people look at social media, you can't tell who has and who hasn't been in the game for a while. I will say with you, I've always known it, but I haven't really been in depth with it. I was first introduced to you from the last Sohikans podcast
Right.
with Sofrito and
Mm-hmm.
Los. Oh, them the homies. And I remember you guys being on the, I guess, like a Puerto Rican
Yeah, it
parade.
was the Puerto Rican parade episode, and it
Right.
was Puerto Rican women on the Puerto Rican parade episode. That was it was bomb, and it was so much fun, and it celebrated culture. But that's amazing. Shout out to them because they are
Yeah,
super dope.
I love them. Them the super homies. And then obviously I've heard you on Soul Searching podcast, talking about the WNBA and things like that. And I always hate when content, because I feel like do women are forced into this box when they do participate in shows to like strictly talk about women. But you've always been a straight shooter, so I do want to talk about some women issues in the sneaker community, but I do want to talk sneakers with you because everything
Yes.
you're saying right now, oh my goodness. 93, 94 Reebok, stop it. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. This episode feels good already. Okay. So let's go back to just you. You've been been doing things for a while. You've assisted other brands. You've started your own, content creation. What are you kind of currently working on?
So it's interesting. I started off like, I'm a sneaker collector at heart. And when I say that, I mean a person who buys sneakers and wears them their whole life, just hyper collected. Like, I need those, I want those, I need those. So since I was a
Right.
kid, I'm actually a second generation sneaker collector. My parents are first. My father still heavily collects. My father's into that whole, like he has like hundreds of Adidas shell toes. That's his thing. He's been in it since the 80s, and his foot is shaped like it. So I'm second generation. I grew up just loving kicks. Everybody around me was always irritated by me. Everybody around me, always wanted to know what was on my feet. What are those? Used to be a statement that was endearing and complimentary, and now it's like, what the hell? But as I've always been a nerd, so I've always been able to think deeper about my sneakers and what I'm doing with it and collecting. I've traveled a lot for sneakers. So before social media, I explored the sneaker culture for women in Paris, in Holland, in Japan. I used to go to DC, Baltimore a lot in the late 90s to cop sneakers. I've traveled a lot. I always had a lot of freedom thanks to my parents. So I've always been a little worldly, I've put my time in. I was on Nike ISS Talk, I was on the forums,
Right.
I was on Sneaker Play. I won sneaker battles. I was the first woman to win the Funk Flex sneaker battle, and I was like 16 years old. Um, so I've done the camping. I've done all of that. I've sat here in
Right.
New York City, and I've been a part of the street culture of sneakers. Now we have a sneaker community that lives online. But before, it was actually in the streets. It was on the blocks, on the corners. So I've always been a part of that. as I'm very well educated, so I was able to transition what I do in business to the sneaker industry because that's where my passion is. So, like, I want to say like 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I started writing. So, I've written for several websites. I still have a lot of work up, like on Walk Like Us. I'm like probably I am the first Walk Like Her on the website, so you can see like articles that I've written for Walk Like Her. CNK I've contributed to. There's many. Latina Magazine I've contributed to, so there's quite a few. And then I started doing events. So I started doing all women events that kind of highlight and glorify very masculine sneakers. Just because when there are women's events, it's very women, it's for women's product, women's sneakers. And I did a Jump Woman brunch, and it was super dope. It was 23 invited special women. I was so humbled that so many women came from Texas, Miami, like the dopest and dopest of bays came, and Philly too. Shout out to Philly, the girls from Philly. So I had all these amazing women at this event, and for fast forward from there, I was very into the whole women's movement, and I think we made progress there. And then I'm a plus size woman. I'm a full figure woman. I feel very passionate about that because not every full figure woman is confident. And something that lacks in our community is the confidence of full figure women in sneakers. So right now, my platform is dedicated and my passion is dedicated to full figure women in kicks, being able to be featured on Foot Locker, be featured on Nike, be featured on these different websites, actually have product made for us. So I've been pushing and pushing in the back end to get these brands to understand the marketing to this woman, understand that it's not um, all plus size women with curvy figures that should be in your campaigns. It shouldn't be only plus size women, in a campaign with skinny women. They have to mix it up. They have to make it more authentic. So I've been working on the back end on that. And the end of this month, I'm dropping my website, Curvy Kicks, and it is a big celebration, exactly what it sounds like, of curvy women in kicks.
Do you think that could be an issue with like other women? I feel like women are still trying really hard to find their place, amongst a men dominant, community. Once you start making separate, you know,
But men have it. Men have all kinds of websites. That's the thing. So you only have all about 5 websites for women, and they haven't peaked. They're not climaxed, and they don't cater to every woman, right? Some of them are more trendy. So they're for the trendy woman. They're not for the hood. They're not for the project woman. They can't
right,
relate. It's interesting that I was surveying a bunch of teenagers and asking them how teenage women and asking them how they find out, when sneakers are coming out. And they all was telling me this app. And as many years I've been in the game, I never heard of a Sneaker Crush. And I was like, what the hell is Sneaker Crush?
sneaker
And
crush.
everyone kept telling me Sneaker Crush, Sneaker Crush. So I pick up my goddaughters from high school and they're telling me, I'm asking their friends, how you know when those sneakers are coming out? Oh, we have Sneaker Crush. Every little girl, when I went to my goddaughter's birthday party, I'm asking girls that are not in her party in another party, those sneakers are nice. How do you know when sneakers are coming out? It's kind of something I do. I do it on the trains too. Those are nice. How you knew they were coming out? They would tell me Sneaker Crush. I go to this app and it has 8 million downloads. I've never heard this freaking app. It's a basic girly calendar of sneakers that are releasing. We don't know it in the sneaker community, but it's banging in the hoods. Those are what the kids are using. So it's like there's so many outlets that we don't know about that's not visible to us. But for women, we don't have that many outlets. And it's like there are different types of women that collect sneakers. But the detriment that's been done to plus size women in this industry will be soon be understood through my website. Because what happens is you also have petite women that parallel the same issues as plus size women. We don't have product. So as a full
S-
figure woman, I walk into a Foot Locker, I wear a size 13 in women's sneakers. And this is for any sneaker store, not singling out Foot Locker. I
right.
wear a size 13 in women. They're going to show me 2 pairs of sneakers in the store that's specifically women's models. And then they're going to take me to the men's section. Now, if I need clothes, they're going to take me straight to the men's section for a t-shirt and sweatpants. After 30 years of this, how do you think a woman dresses and feels about herself after she's been placed in sweatpants and t-shirts her whole life?
Mm.
Yeah, so it's real
That
out. It's
that
real out here. And then when you don't see a woman that looks like you in your own culture, highlighted through these brands, swag and drip. And not all of us work out. So the narrative that a lot of these big brands create, that you have to look like you're working out in these campaigns, is not the same thing for skinny women. So they have campaigns for thin women that are lifestyle, that are just chilling, that are, fluid. And for us, it's just workout, be healthy, as if we're not, because we're, overweight. Me personally, I work out and I'm a vegan. So this is my body composition. It's always going to be like that. And that's what
Right.
it is. But women don't have that many outlets. So, shout out to like CNK, who's really doing something, who's really been pushing and being thought provoking throughout the years. Hype is very trendy. You can tell the whole push behind it is from Asia, because some of the products don't even come out here. So they're highlighting product that's not even USA, it's international. And the brands have started to market to the international consumer, not the domestic woman. So that's why we have a lot of these minimalist sneakers in the women's market. We have a lot of minimalist product, minimalist colorways. And that's why we're always screaming, we want the other stuff, because we want our classic, our hood stuff, the stuff that the men's have. We want our Chicago colorways. We want these different iconic colorways. So it's a long, that's a whole different conversation, but that's really the gist of it. But we need more outlets. So there's all kinds of women who collect sneakers that are not represented in any publication. And the story of the men's history has been told thousands of times throughout so many platforms. You have Sneaker Bar Detroit, you have Sneaker History, you have Complexes, all male dominated. You have Walk
Right.
Like Us, you have Sneaker File, Soul Collector. Throughout the years, I mean, these media outlets have been with us for many years. And when the women's movement came to it, they were looking for women to kind of head up and manage their media sites for women. And it's a hard market, because they don't really know how to really capture the true spirit of women who collect sneakers.
So let's talk about that then. Like, you've kind of jumped into it, transitioned to it like really easily for us. So when it comes to like, you and, other areas where women are leading the charge as being the lead creator in areas, um, I feel like sometimes it's not anger, but directed towards men, that the reason that some of that stuff doesn't get as supported as much as possible.
The standard of beauty in this country is controlled by men. The standard of beauty in sneakers is controlled by men. So, with that being said, the minute a woman, I'll give you an example. The minute a woman's sneaker comes out, every male website is reviewing it and bashing it before a woman even gets her opinion on it. So it's like, just because the men don't like it doesn't mean that's the consensus women's opinion. So it's like, that's not supporting women. So the minute men want to start, just to be blunt, talking shit about the women's culture, intervening into the women's culture without having a deeper understanding, which every time I talk to the most, highly intellectual men, deep thought provoking men that's in the sneaker community, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. But you made a whole lot of comments about it. And it's like, that's why I got really upset at the whole Joe Budden
Right.
comment that he put out there about women in sneakers, because you are bashing millions of women in one comment. You're sitting here and saying that these women are not sexy. You're saying that these women have an age cap as to when they should stop wearing sneakers. And it's like, who are you, first of all, to place you don't wear heels. So who are you to place um age restrictions? Who are you to place this stigma on women and to continue to, just because it's your opinion, you like women in heels? And you know what? He contradicts himself, because his ex-girlfriend Tahiri, she had a failed brand called Sneaker Chic, and it was a women's sneaker clothing line, and it was failed.
Hmm.
And she's a sneaker lover, so he's lying. On top of that, you're not even being authentic about it, because you were dating a woman who was trying to infiltrate this community, and the community didn't really open to it, because I don't know. I'm not wearing anything that says sneaker chic or sneaker chick. I don't even like the word chick.
Right.
So my dog lost his bowl. So So it's very interesting how we move forward and the men kind of just want us to not, and I don't want to say they don't want us to progress, but they kind of put a pause on our progression a lot through their comments, and they just don't realize it. Also, you have a lot of men who, now that there are segregated women's products, they want it. They want it, and a lot of them are buying it just to resell to women, which is unfair because even if all women wanted to be resellers, right? We don't have the physicality to jump on these lines and be bold dudes. Like I've seen how this is done. I know how this is done. We don't have, I could be the first person on that line and I could have 10 girls come run up behind me. There's always going to be a male security who has his homeboy he's putting him at first, and then they bring in another 20, and then they take advantage of the women. So it's like a lot of us we've had to hustle harder for to have these beautiful collections, and we've had to, men also think we don't know price points, so they're going to throw us the highest
Hmm.
price, and we're like, sorry, that's not the price point for that. I can offer you this, but another woman's going to pay for it because she doesn't know the price point. She's also not may not be a typical, let's say, sneaker collector or sneaker head. So she doesn't know. So she's going to pay that. And that's why some of these resellers love to get women's product, because they know they're going to get 3 times what they are supposed to get. So these are all just examples of how throughout, just my experience, women have been
Right.
taken advantage of. And it's the men that really don't understand that they've
Well,
done a little
and
damage
see,
there. They've done a little
it,
bit. And the true support would be like, yo, you get kicks for women, highlight them. Ladies, what do you think before I bash this? How about give us a consensus before, so that you can get the true woman's opinion before? Because a question that always comes up in like a lot of interviews is like, who influences you, right? Who
right.
influences you? Who do you look at for inspiration on social media? I look at the boys. I don't look at the women. I look at the guys, because I've always loved, you know, men's swag, jerseys, how men coordinate their colors, their coordinates with sneakers. So
Right.
that's something that I look at. We look at men, and it's like when we have men that we respect, we appreciate, and then they just start bashing at, a lot of things that we do enjoy. And mind you, we don't get many products that's just for women. So when we do get that six of the year, and men are like, all of them trash, 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 and it's just like, how can we celebrate our culture? How can we celebrate what we love if the opposite sex is always just like downplaying what we do?
So let me go back to, like, kind of, what I had discussed last week um on the podcast with a friend of mine who works at retail, and you describing, your growth in sneakers and the things you've had to do. It's dramatically different than what I've seen and been involved in and been around in all the years I've been. I'm 37. You said you're 38, so we've been around for a
Right.
long time in this. And you talked about camping and stuff like that. I can honestly tell you, I've been camping out for sneakers since I was in 8th grade. So, and I would get dropped off by my mom and dad, and it just is what it was. Now, I can honestly tell you, I don't remember ever one time being camped out with a woman ever who wasn't there to buy something for their boyfriend or husband or whatever, or just outside company for whomever they were with, or a
That's
mom.
because you had to be in New York City.
Okay,
Should you
now see,
should you
now see
be
that's
in
and that's the
New
thing
York
too.
City? New York
Now,
City, these women, and it's crazy because I'm visible, but there's a lot of women not visible that I think are
right.
harder than me. There's a lot of them, like, you know, Soulflower. I will always give Flower her credit. Flower is probably my favorite in terms of her style and what she actually picks up and cops. I think that her cops are very calculated. I think it's a progression of her collection. She has some pieces that are just mind blowing for a woman, mind blowing for a man. And somebody just like her, like myself, and there's many and many, I use her as an example, many, many, many other women who it's not easy to come across. In matter of fact, it's 10 times harder to come across a Nike Yeezy size 6.5. It's 10 times
Oh,
harder
facts.
to, back in the day when foams were coming out, and everybody was, the women were trying to get the small sizes. You had to fight, you had to like kind of battle the Asians, because even Asian men have smaller feet.
That's still
So
to this day.
till this day, but now they make more sizing, because now they have the youth and now they have the men's. So specifically in like foams, and I know you had the episode where you just love Galaxy foams. So Galaxy foams, for example, as a woman, you had to know what stores are dropping what and how many they had of the small sizes. So most of these like very elevated stores have only 2 or 3 pairs. So you had to index,
Mm.
you had to find someone, you had to pay someone, you had to jump on lines. We had to jump through hoops to have these collections that you now see in this day and age, because it's always harder to get the sizing, and they didn't make many of them. So in New York City, and it's crazy because fast forward, and I haven't lined up in years. I mean, maybe like more than 10 years already. So, and that's just due to I put in that work already. So
Right.
now I see some young girls that are like real, like Perla. Perla was heavy on the lines, heavy having the lines on lock, and being there and being present. And you have a lot of other women that are just, you know, they wanted the sneaker, they were going to get the sneaker by any means necessary, even if it included that. But that's the New York way of growing up in sneakers. It's like the women go just as hard as the men.
And see, that's where I go back to when in our I've always been on the West Coast. So the sun shines on the West Coast all the time. I live in Arizona right now. I remember being in college. I remember they were talking about a lot of women were getting injured wearing flip-flops when I was in ASU, and they were going to ban flip-flops, and I remember the women were ready to riot in the streets. So like
I would
sneakers
never.
on a sneakers on a woman out here was never viewed. And now this isn't everywhere, so like BG Kicks and people who are
Yeah,
like
I
from
was
the
just
West
gonna
Coast.
say, the BG is a legend. She's a legend, and
Right.
she's been doing this. You can see the development, and you can see the age, and you can see the curation. Oh, my dog
Now
decides
my
he's playing
my
Jingle Bells. Hold on 1 minute.
all right.
All right, you're all better now. So
And
with
my
her,
my
it
my
was like,
scope, well, real
yep,
quick, my scope of viewing things was only what was right in front of me. Now, I was never a super social media person until we started the podcast, because you have to. You
right.
got something that you're trying to promote, you have to. So I would, even to this day, if it wasn't for the podcast, I wouldn't be on IG. So a lot of the stuff that I see, you and Dee Dee are one of the first people I follow. Dee Dee used to promote our podcast. She would like post like, hey, $10, I'll promote your podcast. I paid the $10 or whatever it was a few times to have it put. This was when we first started, so any help was necessary, and that was sort of an introduction to me. Like, whoa, there's people out here, like, sorry, women out here who were really into sneakers. Now, when you look on social media at sneakers, typically a lot of women, men, and maybe not all men. When I look at women on the social media, you all look young. I had no idea you were 38. I thought at the most 24. So when I see somebody I view as really young and they pull out, a Dunk Espo, clear Espo or whatever, it doesn't make me think there was any possibility they got that when it came out or they was there. It makes me think they built their collection way, way later than after this stuff originally hit the streets. For us, men on the streets, I talked about this, a few weeks or last week, you know, for ego, men, you always bought your girl the sneakers and like that. I never had super duper conversations with women about sneakers. I'll be honest with you now. This conversation right here might be the most in depth conversation I have ever had with a woman on sneakers. And I
And it's
love
and
this
it's interesting
because this is
because,
what we need. Like, you are showing me and telling me, hello?
yes, I'm here. I'm listening to
Oh, okay.
you.
You were showing and telling me, about other people who have been in it for a long time, and opening up my mindset to step off of what I see on social media and actually have these conversations. This is a good conversation. This is what brands and stuff need to hear, and
And
this is what a lot
it's
of
so
other men need to
funny.
hear.
I'll tell you, I had a conversation. Shout out to Jen twice. Um, I had a conversation with her once. I went to the store and I'm buying some sneakers, and it's so funny because we understand technology and product, and it's not many people that you connect on that level that you're able to just talk about something in terms of technology. So the LeBron 15s had came out, and I was like, you know what? I wore them to go pick up some sneakers, and we're talking about 15s, and we're talking about the difference between 15s and the prior. And she's like, but do you like the pods? And I'm like, oh yeah, I like the articulation. They split it, and we're looking at the sole, and we're
Right.
tearing up the tech of the sneaker. And it's just like, you know we can, because we grew up just in sneakers and understanding sneakers, we can do a comparison of a whole signature line. And this is something that's just free speaking, and it's just something that's natural, and we can sit here and compare. We know materials. It's like, yo, do you like prime knit or do you like fly knit better? Like, which one is better for you? And it's just like, these are conversations that many women have. And I think what men don't know about women is, because we don't communicate gender, across genders in this manner, because men just don't think that we got these chops. And if they would understand there's a lot of women who just know some shit. And it's crazy because there's women that surprise me, and I'm like, this Midwest white girl just broke that shit down. How? And I'm like, it's crazy. But sneaker collectors don't just love sneakers because they grew up, predominantly it comes from the hood. Like for me, it came from just making a statement. Sneakers was a statement
Oh,
piece in the
always.
hood. But you also have people who love sports and grew up loving sports, and that was their way to love sneakers. Like I know girls who grew up as little girls just loving basketball, wearing oversized jerseys and sneakers, and that was their whole aesthetic, and they loved it. And they didn't grow up in the hood. But do they know sneakers and sports? Absolutely.
And that is where I see the divide in just cultures within the country. Like hearing that about I didn't know a single woman who was interested in a Mitchell and Ness throwback or a jersey like that on the West Coast. And
Yeah.
that's 100% fact. And this isn't me being naive or
Right, right.
ignorant.
It's just you
Maybe
didn't.
I wasn't paying much attention. It just wasn't. Like, there were girls. See, right now, what you're discussing about
And it's
how
funny
hard
because
women
I
have to
used to
fight.
take my brothers and cut them, and he would come raging in my room. I used to take his warm up suits. I remember he had a Vince Carter Raptors bad, bad, bad warm up suit. When I tell you I cut those pants, and then I cut the middle and I made it a skirt, and then I went and I pinched in the jacket. I made it a whole nice suit. When he saw it on me, he never wore it. It was in his closet. And I understand now. He used to collect those pieces. I get it.
Right.
Now I get it. Back then it was like, yo, you're not wearing it. It's clothes. It's not sneakers. So
Mm,
I I used to take all his $300 jerseys, and they were so long on him because he used to wear them to his knees. So I used to take them
right.
and just
Same here.
rip them apart, turn them into dresses all the time. I posted a Clippers one that I had the other day that I made when I was like 16, and I posted it up on Instagram. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, I remember these." But I think, you know, women all over the world have, because even in Japan, they have a whole polo low life movement out there that's been out there for a long time. They got that from New York. But I think for a long time it's just the men just haven't been looking. You know how many times I hear a man say, "Oh, I wish I had a girl who likes sneakers. I wish I had a girl who loved, who understood sneakers. I wish." There's so many. You're not looking at them. And it's like the women that you see, those are the visible women who come up, who are not shadow, who have followings. There's so many women I follow that have 200 followers who are bad, who are just bad women, who just have so much
Right.
soul and so much kicks, and so many different um so many different styles from so many different places. So I think, if and I don't know what happened in the sneaker culture where it's become so shot clicky, where All the people with high
Oh,
following
I hate
group
it.
up. All the people with this type of following group up. All the people in this location group up. So it's like everybody's clicked up. So it's like we alienate those small accounts, but they have the same love, same kicks, and same passion. They're just not the people taking pro shots.
You know what? You know, when you talk about, well, let me go back for a second. So when you were talking about how hard it was for women to get sneakers, from my perspective, I talk about it from the men's side. I remember how you're saying when women had to find out where sneakers were releasing, and you were saying that like you knew they were only going to get a couple sizes in the sizes you need. It used to be the same way for men. I tell this story all the time. Our stores out here, they would get two size 13s, and there would be two guys that wore size 13s. If one of them saw the other one in line before them, he would leave because he knew he was going to buy both of them because there wasn't that many pairs out there being made. Now, when I was growing up, and there were plenty of women and girls wearing sneakers, but it wasn't thought that they might know about sneakers. They might know who Penny Hardaway is. He's cute to them. They might know who Jordan is. He's cool, but I didn't know and have never conversated if they or even thought they actually watch Penny play or knew Penny or anything like that. So it was like women back then, they had to wear the kid sizes, whatever the smallest kid
Right,
sizes were.
right.
They
Small
didn't have
size.
to fight as hard for the men with them. So when we had to like fight to get Concords the first time they retroed and stuff, women could just back where we were. I don't know about New York or the East Coast. Women could just go the next few days later, and they would be the kid sizes still sitting there.
Well,
It wasn't.
depending what era you're talking about, because you know they haven't had the idea of women's sneakers or on the box. Right now, you see that it's two genders on every box, right? You see a women's sizing and a men's sizing, and they do that
Mm-hmm.
so that you know we can be what is it, gender neutral. But
Right.
back in the day, you had youth and you had men's, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had youth, and youth was, and it's crazy because sizing has changed too. So like I shop by centimeters. So I never shop by size. So every brand, I'm 26 centimeters. So 26 centimeters is interesting because, for Nike, that's could be a size 8. And then for Diodora, that's a size 7. So I shop by centimeters just so that I always get the right fit. So one of
Hmm.
the things is and the centimeters is on every box. So if you look at your size right next to your size, it says centimeters. So
Right.
that's how I shop my whole life for sneakers. Once I realized like these, not every sneaker and every brand fits the same. I used to be like, why does this sneaker fit like this and then this one's huge? And I also wanted to shop through people. So if I would get a hookup or something, it would be like, oh, what size are you? Oh, I don't know. So the size is 26 centimeters. Whatever it says 26 centimeters, pull me that box. And I would get my sneakers. But women, back in the day, we were alienated from men's sneakers. And I have to exclude myself because I've always been men's sizing since
Mm-hmm.
after high school. So women have been excluded from a lot of dope models that men have had. Even till this day, premium sneakers, Pinnacles, Jordan Pinnacles. And I only want to say Jordan brand because when women complain about not having enough sneakers or not having product, they're only speaking about Jordan brand. I cannot say that for Puma. I can't say that for Adidas. I can't say that for Nike. All they do is make women's lines and women's products. I can't say that for a lot of brands. But when it comes up to Jordan brand, I find, and it's maybe my opinion, women want the original colorways. Women want
Mm-hmm.
the original sneakers that were never available to us. Like I'll give you an example recently, Mocha 3s. We don't have enough brown colorways for women, and women love the color brown. The Mocha 3s go with so many, Louis Vuitton bags. It goes with so many women's aesthetics and women's products. They only made it from a size 8 and up. So there are a lot of dope sneakers that women, would never touch. I would love for um my female counterparts to feel what the technology is in a men's foam versus that trashy kids foam, because that I
Mm.
don't even know what that kids foam is, what it's made of, what it's about, but That's
That
not
kid's foam is shaped so dramatically different than a men's. It's not even
because it's
funny.
not a mold. I mean, you can see it's a clearly sewn sneaker with a whole different fabric, but it is trash. And the whole point of the foam is to take the shape of your foot, and it's
And
to
mold it.
and mold it. Yeah, and it's to break into it, and you'll never get that with a children's foam. So it's like there's a lot of great and it's there's a lot of great technology that women will never feel. So it's not just about not having the sneaker, it's just about the quality as well.
Oh
Have they
yeah, and
fixed
that
it
I
a
mean, you
lot?
can go back.
Sure.
You
Yeah, they
can you
fixed
can
it a
go
lot.
back as far as you can go back as far as like Pippins and stuff. Even when the Air Morph Tempo, the pairs that women's had to buy didn't have all the air bubbles. It had the one in
Remember
the
old
back.
Air Max? I just had a conversation with someone the other day, and they were remembering the old Air Max for youth that had the bubble that was painted on, and
Yeah, it was just painted.
it was a horribly painted bubble
Right,
in a color. Um, but now, fast forward like the Pippins. Pippin Youth, terrible. Still looks terrible. Pippin
right,
Women is yummy. Now they have women's. I have a pair of like, and it's just about the fit and making the ankle smaller, because one thing too. All right, fine. I wear a nice men's size. I can buy men's sneakers, but
right.
will it truly fit for a woman's contour? Never. I have war wounds on my ankles. I call them war wounds because that's all I love. You're never gonna get me out of ball sneakers, and I have war wounds from all the scratching and scraping of my ankles. So, for example, like LeBron nines. LeBron nines just wrap. I'm Blazers. Blazers took the back of my ankles. LeBron
Hmm.
nines took the sides of my ankles. So I have scars from just rubbing because on top of that, I probably wore the wrong socks on a certain day. But throughout
Right.
history, it's because I wear men's size. And yes, it fits my foot. But then when it comes up to the ankle, I have a woman's ankle. I don't have a men's ankle. So my ankle's moving all over the place in it.
Yeah, and that's and that and we talk about LeBron nines. I always say LeBron nines to me were one of the best LeBrons to wear with jeans, and I used to see people wearing them with like low socks or no shows. I never understood how they could do it. Like you have to pull your socks up to wear those,
So
or
I'll
that
tell you
fabric
about
inside will
just a
skin
quick
you.
story about knowing technology gone wrong. So once the LeBron nines have the lockdown feature in the ankle that pulls the ankle
Right.
back towards the back of the sneaker. So once I understood that in depth, I started feeling it, and I started feeling claustrophobic in them. So I would like wear them for a while. And then after walking and running around the city, I needed to come home and get them off immediately because I just felt completely suffocated in them. I felt like I couldn't move. My ankles were too, they were walking. I was walking too with no lateral movement at all. So it was just, I don't know. It was just knowing the technology really just fucked me up right there with that sneaker. So I stopped wearing them. And it's now that I'll take out a Big Bang, or I love the mangoes. I'll take out a mango and I'll rock them. But my heart is, I love foams. I'm a foam girl. I love foam since I want to say like 97, since they came out, actually,
Right.
because you know what, I was real heavy into foams when they first started coming out. And even anything, fly posit, clog posits, hyper posits. I love
Right.
Barkley posits. I just love the posits.
Oh, Barkley posits are awful.
Oh,
I
I
thought
I
Barkley
love
posits
me
were
some
good.
Barkley
Ooh.
posits.
You
You
know,
know
it's
what?
funny
That's
that like a lot
that's
of
a
those ones
concrete
that
sneaker. That's a sneaker that you stomp on the concrete with. You throw on some non-skinny jeans, OG jeans, or some sweats, non-joggers, and you float around and you float around and you just that's like a beater that doesn't beat so fast. And me, I walk very heavy, I walk very rugged, I walk side to side. I'm the friend that walks next to you and runs you into the street because I'm like falling left. And I that's what I love about ball sneakers. I love the weight and I love the sturdiness about it. And now that basketball has changed, so has basketball sneakers. So now they've incorporated running into it. So now they're more runners and they're more flexible because the game has changed. So now the basketball sneakers has changed, and now I'm not really into newer basketball sneakers. They're either lows, or they're
Right.
very narrow and they're very thin and they don't have too much, or they have ankle straps that are built underneath inside. I'm just not into all of that. But what's Barkley Posit, Pippins, you know, Foams.
And I talk about that. I talk about that all the time as well. Growing up, when we did playing basketball, we hooped in Jordans, like Reeboks and stuff. You pick up a Jordan 5 now, you're like, God dang, this joint is heavy. But we hooped in those. Like that's how we hooped in. A
Yeah,
new
and that's how you
basketball
build,
today.
and that's how you build leg strength, and that's how you build
That
muscle.
thank
It's true.
you.
That's why
I tr-
new Trump
uh,
era dudes got skinny legs.
I tell George all in the podcast. Like if I go hoop, the rare occasion I go hoop, I still hoop in a Jordan 4 or
Yo,
a Jason Kidd
they used
Flight
to hoop
95.
in court flight highs. I'm talking about boots, Remember, they used to have
Right.
really Nike basketball products, non-Jordan, non-athlete focused, were really court highs. White man's can jump. Those are high sneakers. So,
Right.
and men used to hoop in them, and they're like way over the ankle, They're going up the leg. And that was common. That was
I'm
that was more
hearing
common.
guys nowadays running around talking about, yo, these are too heavy to hoop in. I need light shoes. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? That's new. That's this new generation. I'm like, I tried to hoop in a KD 5 when it first came out, um, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life. I rolled my ankle so many times, and a lot of these sneakers right now, I have no idea how they actually play basketball in them. Like, there's just no way. There's no weight to them.
Right, like a
Even if you wear
LeBron,
something
like
as
the
simple,
the
when you wear something as
soldiers,
simple,
the weight of the soldiers,
right?
the 14s. The weight of those, I literally like almost took my knee out with them trying to take them on and off, because I was like, damn, these are so heavy. I was like, or like Ewings, you know.
Right.
A lot of people, it's irony to me. You want quality, but a sneaker like a Ewing is super mad quality, like over quality. Like the quality on that is insane, but nobody wants that bulk and that sneaker. And
It's way too bulky.
it is, but you know what? Back then, we were wearing bulky basketball sneakers. So, and look at Ewing himself. Look at the athlete. If you are his
Right.
height and that looks like nothing on you. But
That's
me,
why
it
when I
comes
see
up
like
like a
a
boot.
Anthony Davis, I see like a Anthony Davis on the Lakers wearing a Kobe sometime. I'm like, how is he hooping enough? Kobe 5. Like it just seems impossible right now. Now, like a Ewing has always been a good looking shoe. Back in the day, you talk about that time. We loved Ewings back then, but our clothes have changed so dramatically that it emphasizes how much
You
bigger the
just you
shoes
you
are.
just you open the can of worms there. Did the sneakers change, or did our clothes change first?
The clothes changed. Well, uh, it depends how you look at it.
I look at it
Like,
as the futuristic styles of sneakers. You couldn't wear those big pants anymore on them because they started narrowing out those ankles a lot. So you have to run and you have to segue into smaller cuffs around your ankles in order to
right.
back then we had so much bulk. Even an Air Force One could handle some circumference on the bottom of your jeans. But now, with how narrow, just how much they've pushed runners, and how much, basketball sneakers have turned into runners, because at the end of the day, like all these new stuff that's coming out, these lows and these new KDs and these new Kyries that are coming out, yeah, they don't really give me that ball aesthetic. Under Armour, the Currys always gave me that performance aesthetic. So now we had a change in sneakers, and I see the clothing changing, and now sneakers are changing even further, and now the style is changing even more. So I think one influences the other, but I think sneakers is the big business. Sneakers is the industry. Sneakers is the leaders of culture, and sneakers is the leader of not like, of pop culture, because it's not. We're not only doing sneakers in the hood on social media. You got celebrities doing it. You got athletes
Right.
doing it. Everybody's competing for the same shoe. So now it's just a different ball game.
So let me go back for a little bit. Do you think that women support enough women?
Women, it's very interesting. If you would have asked me that question about 2 years ago, I would have said yes. I would have said we try very hard to support one another, right? But I truly see the cattiness, and I truly, like, even with people that you truly love, I truly see, and women are a little more sensitive, and um in terms of our relationships with each other, and there's a new era of women coming up in the sneaker culture right now, who have no understanding of history, no understanding of product. They're not legacy pieces to anything. So what happens is they come out, they're cute, they got a nice little butt, they take some nice pictures, now they lit, now they're sneaker influencers, now they're in the sneaker culture, now all the guys want to comment on them and include them and make them
Mm-hmm.
feel included. And now you have brand new women in the sneaker culture that nobody knew about. They weren't introduced in a proper way. We don't know who they are, and automatically it could come off with a bad taste in a woman's mouth because you don't understand what they say, their comments, if it's taken out of context. So it's like women analyze, just like we analyze sneakers deep and very harder than I think men. I think we analyze culture and women very much. And I
So
think,
you know what? Let me ask you this:
and that's not
Do
only in
you
sneakers,
feel
every industry, hip hop.
so? So real quick, let me ask you this: Do you feel like the wrong women are creating a lot of the sneaker content? And I mean YouTube shows, lives, whatever they might
I
have.
never want to
Because
say the
listening to you talk,
wrong women, but I want to say that
I think it might be wrong women.
I'm a tie it back to men. I'm gonna keep tying this back to men because this is where it comes from, right? There's about 100 of like women that I know that I interact with daily who are amazing sneaker collectors who I've known for some time. I've got to spend time with them at events and stores and different things like that. Through them, I find other women. And what happens is the first thing I notice with these women, like let's say I never seen this page in my life. It has 20,000 followers. I've never seen this girl in my life. And I look at her collection and I see everything. She has these big, beautiful walls of sneakers. They're amazing. They're
Hmm.
beautiful white shelves, but everything in there came out last year. And I'm looking at that wall and I'm like, oh, you a new, because everything is new in there. And I see all the men who have 100,000 followers. Oh, killing it, sis. Dope. Holla. Amazing. Yo, you fly. That's a bad shot. That's dope. Oh, praising, hands clapping in the air.
Oh
Dope.
God!
You the shit.
Strong arm,
So,
flex arm,
yo, the flex
fire,
arm, fire,
volcanoes,
crowns. So
asteroids, all
so
that.
what they don't realize is the power you giving, right? Because you got a page of 100,000 followers, and now you're bringing more pages of 100, because everything's monkey see, monkey do. So now you're giving another page 100,000 followers is coming to comment. So now your brands are looking at this girl and they're like, oh wow, look, she brings in the influencers. She brings in the real deals. So now
Stop it, Jixie. Stop it.
that girl gets the
Mm.
opportunities that the girls with the old walls will never get.
Jixie, stop giving out this knowledge. Okay?
And it's just what the reality is. And it's like, all right, if the OGs want to elevate, then you got to elevate your photo game, and then you got to get rid of your OGs and make this what is called trendy looking content, because that's what the brands are looking at. But I want to tie this back to the men. The men give the women this power. The men give the women this power because it's not us 100 women doing this. So it's
Jixie.
not us 100 women doing this. And that's what invited sexism into the culture. That's what invited the naked girls in the supreme panties taking pictures and then getting 80,000 followers. So it's like
Mm.
these streets are really hard, but I can't say it's women on women. I have to sit here and say the men have a huge part in how they make us look, how they support us, and how they tear us down. And
Jixie. Let me explain something to you. Everything that you are saying is 100% 100% facts. It's not even a question. When you talk about the women, the men, even the men who've been in it for a while, I get upset with, other sneaker publications, and stuff like that, Complex and all them all the time, because it's hard when I'm talking about my own podcast, when you're putting out such good content and creative content and putting the work behind it, and you see other people who aren't doing or have been in the game for as long as you getting the shine that you feel you've worked really hard to get. It sucks. you
Like
you yourself, with the
Complex, I
stories you're
don't even want
telling
to
me.
get into Complex because Complex, if anybody's reading Complex and taking them serious, then you a fool because that's straight sensationalism in the culture. They do
100% fact.
they take you shopping and you're gonna pay $5,000 for a sneaker. Then I'm gonna go on StockX and get it for 12. Like
Right.
it don't make sense. And a lot of it is sensationalism. You're eating cereal out of bowl of sneakers and you're burning shit. And it's just like that's sensationalism. That's to get the views. Is
It
complex for
is.
the culture. Is complex for the culture? I'm gonna say no. I'm going to
Absolutely
say
not.
they're
It's not
not
even a
for the
question.
culture. What is the culture nowadays, right? To me, the culture is we are a culture because we speak our own language. We have our own holidays. We share a common love and a common interest and a common lifestyle at this point. It's not just about having sneakers. Like the hip hop culture is a lifestyle because it actually lives in the free world. And so does sneaker collecting, right? We've turned into a culture that lives in the free world. And now we have this certain companies that are sensationalizing. Then you have companies that want to tap in this market because they are like, how do you create the loyal consumer that is sneaker collectors that buy the same shit over and over in different colors? How? Shit that they don't need. This is how companies look at us. So everybody wants in. So you'll see more collaborations with different companies and sneakers. You see everybody coming in, and the sneaker community to me is so very warm and open. They let anybody in. Oh,
Anybody?
hey, you're a new collector, you love sneakers? We do too. We support you. Boom. And there you go. Now you're in the Sweet Valley High, I call this, because it's like high school.
Right.
It's like
And you know
high
what? I want
school.
and real quick, sorry. And I want everybody who listens to this and understands this. Like, I know a lot of times our podcast in the past, has come off as like really angry at stuff, and I don't want anybody to hear this as like, Jixie or I being angry, or people love to use the word hate incorrectly. It is simple
It's
reality
love. It's
facts.
just love.
It
This is a passion and a love. I don't hate nothing and no one in this culture except
right.
for certain sneakers, right? Because at the end of the day, my all I ever wanted to do in my journey is get the pieces that I want to complete my collections. I'm a person that I collect series. If I have one Agassi, I want all Agassiz. If I have one Reebok, I want all Reebok. And it's just like that's only been my goal. And along through the way, I never knew that there were people like me. I never knew there were women like me. I was always made fun of. I was called a sneakerhead. When they used to call me a sneakerhead, it was a term of to it was derogatory. Back in the day, they used to be like, "Ah, you just a sneakerhead, Jazz. Get out of here." Well, you ain't got nothing to say. You a sneakerhead, because sneakerhead originally came out meaning like you don't know nothing but sneakers, just like chicken head, crackhead. And now everybody's so happy to be a sneakerhead. And when people be like, "Oh, you're a sneakerhead," please don't call me that. Please don't call me that, because back in the day when they used to call me sneakerhead, it felt bad because I do know more than sneakers. Sneakers was always more than what people thought it was. But, people like me who had to fight through that term, now I find it very offensive. And I see myself getting a little sensitized to it more and more. But it just doesn't feel, I would never label myself that. So this is
I
just like,
do.
this is knowledge that just people need to know. The youngsters need to know. So when these little girls come out, I'm a sneakerhead, la la la, and then the guys are like, flex arm, you're the bomb. And it's just like you're empowering this girl to make this mistake. And where is our history, right? Where is the history gonna live? Where are we going to have this information about this? I don't see nowhere written about the word sneakerhead being a derogatory term.
It's funny because like people will look at this and listen to this and say, "Oh, you guys sound old. You sound like old grumpy OGs and
I'm
stuff,"
definitely
and
not a
that's not
Joe
the
Button.
case. It's not, and and look, it's not bad
Not
to
Grandma
have a
Button.
little Joe Button in you. It's not bad,
No.
but the way that it's constructed is a better way. People always say that we hate on Complex and yada yada. Let me just explain something to you. Complex, by pretty much default, does kind of lead the sneaker culture media wise. Not the
Of course.
culture, but
Of course.
media wise, they did. They built the empire. Once you started getting to where you have your own sneaker con, complex cons, and you have limited edition sneakers,
But what they
you've put in the
represent,
work.
what they represent, and the brands that they represent, right?
Right.
They don't create and cater to the domestic market. When I look
No,
at
no, no, not at all.
Complex, and I look at like the Murakami and everything that represents who they are, it's in line with what the brands are doing right now, which is creating, designing, and being inspired by European influences. A lot of people think our colorways don't even match our own clothes that we have here. Those colorways match clothes that are overseas. The style and the aesthetic and the tightness of those sneakers was really a minimalist design that was already lit overseas and they brought it here. So it's like we are not the consumer they look at and say, I'm a design for them. Nah, I'm a design for that hood. I'm a design for America and make sneakers great again in America. That's what needs to be done. And Complex represents that. Just like when I look at Hypebeast, which is the women's media outlet, Hypebeast represents that aesthetic that is overseas. And is that an appeal to some people here? Absolutely. But should it be the only influence? No. Our influences once came from the streets, it once came from New York, and once came from sports, and it's just not there. And Complex to me is just they that's what the young people know about. That's what they look at. That's what they see
Right.
with the likes and the views, and everybody is driven by likes and views.
That's why people always talk about like sneaker shopping. I've always hated sneaker shopping. The point of sneaker shopping is to see who can spend the most money or show who spent the most money or act like it. It's nonsense to
I
me.
love it. And you know what? I catch it every once in a while because they watch it in my house. My honey watches it at home. But
Right.
when I look at that, I am very impressed when I do find someone who knows about sneakers and actually pick
It's
something good on
rare.
the wall. But
It's rare.
I really laugh when people skip like a really dope sneaker and they're there grabbing trash for 10 times the price. I'm like, you are freaking insane. You are not a
It,
sneaker collector.
right.
But
No, it's rare.
look at
It's
when
rare someone
Complex
gets
had
on there with the knowledge.
look when they had Bella Hadid on there talking
Mm-hmm.
about um it's an Air Max. She didn't know what model it was. She was like, yeah, I'm feeling the Air Max. She was like, if homeboy is wearing this, he could get it. Darling, you grew up in Orange County. It's richer than Beverly freaking Hills. You don't know no homeboy. You never grew up with a homeboy. There's nothing a homeboy. So it's like you're exploiting the hood culture. You're exploiting the African American culture. You're exploiting it just to sensationalize and just to get it. And that's what the rest of the world thinks that they can do. And it's like we gave them that power. Us authentics, us sneaker people, we gave them that power.
We did, and I am man.
And
It's
that's
like
why if I
it's
come off as
you know how
a
it's
brat about it or a biatch about it, then
no no no
you
no
know, but
no
I feel
this
so
this
strongly
th-
about it.
this conversation. So let me tell you this. This is like what I take as authentic when I have a conversation with somebody about a message getting out to actually make change and for people to listen. I see a lot of people, and let me tell you, it's a lot of men. I've been watching like some of these IG lives, which I rarely do, and I'm watching them, and they have like sometimes men talking to other women sneakerheads and stuff, and I feel like a lot of them are giving out a lot of false um I don't know, the satisfaction to some of these women.
Right.
They're like, yo, we need to do this, we need to do that. Yeah, this is change, yada yada yada. But it's not. There's nothing, no meat behind the substance in which they're asking for the change. This is meat behind the substance. I look at the comments on some of these women sneakerheads, and like you said, and this is everywhere. This is even some of the men sneakerheads. I see the comments, all those trash emojis for something, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, stop it, man.
That's
Like,
just to have
just
the
don't do that.
visibility so that people could go back to their page, like their stuff. And it's like, I don't believe a lot of people. I think a lot of OGs are overlooked because of their love for OG, for original product, without embracing the new, right? It's kind of like hip hop
Right.
heads, right? You love old hip hop so much, you come off as an old head because all you do is trash the new and trash the young. So what it is I never trash young women. I never look down like, how do I look looking at a 24-year-old like, your collection is weak? Never, never. That would never happen because you a baby coming up in this. You got a lot to learn at 24 years old. So I have mentors, right? So
Right.
there are women who taught me. There are women who showed me. There are women who say, you know what, don't buy that from there, buy that from here. This is a much better place. I am so grateful for the women who have taught me, especially like somebody like Sue from Rhyme. Sue opened, changed my whole outlook on a lot of things, opened my mind to many things, gave me a lot of introductions to different brands, made me think differently about sneakers, made me use my voice about sneakers. And mentors are so important in this culture, in any culture. And it's like more women need to become mentors instead of just looking down on these little brats, because they are brats and they could be a hell of annoying. But you know what? Like, there's a young girl, she's doing a bunch of projects, and I respect her project and I respect her content creation because there's a lot of older women twice her caliber who have way more product than her, who have way more kicks, way more collection, way more knowledge, but they don't have this drive to create like this little girl. And this little girl's doing a project and I gave her a few pointers and she was like, yo, thank you. I've incorporated them into my work. They were really good. And her project is moving. And it's like, she's probably like 23 years old. She's such a little chicken wing. And I'm just like so excited to see young girls wanting to create in this space. And
Now,
that's
now,
what
now,
we need more
what you're
of.
saying, sorry, now what you're saying is absolutely true.
But
The one of the
I
issues with
was
now,
making a
one of the
point
issues
that,
with
hold
now
on, wait, I
is,
was making a
but
point because I truly forgot the whole point of that. The point is the reason the little girl will listen to me is because my current sneaker game. So if it was just an old ass collection with no relevance into this community now, they look at you like, you're an old head. But now, once you're relevant and your sneaker game is still looking relevant and you're still having all the exclusives and you're still out there, now they treat you different. They look at you different. So now you're not just a Joe Button complaining, because Joe Button at the end of the day still makes old boom bat ass rap, right? He's not changing. He ain't wavy with the kids and he ain't trapping with the kids. So now, you know, and sneakers always keeps me young. I attribute sneakers to why I feel and look so young.
right.
So now that I can show a historical collection, but it's still be with the times, be with the shit, still have my favorite modern exclusives and modern sneakers that I love. Now the feel, the vibe, and the way people take advice changes.
Okay, okay. Let me stop you there. That is a good point. What you're trying to make. The point about a mentor. Let's go back. So I had somebody who had listened to the podcast since episode one. They had posted on their IG story and said, "I'm done with the Sneak This Sneaker podcast. They're on one show bashing a basketball sneaker, but then on another show praising Fila's." And I said to myself, "Man, like that's what." Like I'm sorry, I will always I prefer a Fila mind blower over a LeBron 17. I do. And now I grew up with a Fila mind blower. Fila mind blowers aren't new. Fila has gotten this weird rap, within the sneaker community. But when Fila had did the collaboration with like the 50 stores, with the mind blower, with Ranchi,
Yeah, I have
with
them. I have the
yeah,
mind.
I have them all.
I
I,
have
I,
them.
I got I got 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 pairs of them. Like I bought
It's
those
the
because
mind breaker I have. I have the New York City Rhyme mind breaker. They made 90 of them, and it was in a moving museum.
okay, see, and that's where I love talking about the OG. Now you talk about advice. What it comes down to is this new generation, these chicken wings. You talk about them being receptive to conversation. That's how I'll put it. Like, can I have a super duper in depth conversation about, uh, the latest Supreme T-shirt? No, I'm aware of it. I know of it, but you know, I would like to have a conversation to you about what's current and what's old. But I don't think a lot of younger people are receptive to it. Might be more different with women, but when it comes to men, they if they already like it or love it, you can't have a different opinion than that. Like if they love the LeBron 17 and you say you don't love it, they're heated. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I can hear you
I
now.
co-founded a
Can you hear me?
yeah, I heard you. So I had put
Okay.
it on mute. So I co-founded a
Oh.
collective with OG Yaya. She's also on Instagram. She's been, she's a sneaker collector for a long time too, and she's also been in the business for a very long time, and she has some very interesting perspectives on this. And we started a collective together to amplify the voices of women in the sneaker culture and to connect them with different brands and to connect them all while leaving a legacy that's educational for women so they could look back at what we created and say, you know what? Oh, I understand this importance. So we had an event to highlight the Reebok 5411 because that's the first women's sneaker. So we wanted to start with that first project. And I lined the whole store up with the walls with Reebok. Women were able to try them on. They were my personal pairs. They were able to try them on, wear them. We talked about its importance, its place in our history, why the sneaker is important, what is its relevance. We spoke about the facts. The facts is that that's one sneaker model, one model was 50% of Reebok sales in the 80s. So you're talking
Hmm.
about they were making 15 million at that time off of one model of a sneaker. It was the most important sneaker. So unless you know that history and you can present it, and you can show them, because at the end of the day they don't want to hear about it, they want to see it. So the way to see it is to see the actual product. So I have an 82 original Reebok. I have several collaborations from throughout the years that are like 15 years old, 20 years old, anniversaries. When they can see the product and learn the history through actually looking at it, now we talking. But if you're just gonna talk, and you don't have that bag to back it up, and you don't have that box of kicks, it's like, all right, you're just talking. So I've come to learn that a lot of modern day learners, especially in this culture, are visible. Much like
Hmm.
when you look at YouTube, right? You hear somebody talk about sneakers, but you much rather see them in the sneakers or with the sneaker in hand. And when we had that event, it was predominantly young women, and they were just so interested. And after that, a lot of them have contacted me and let me know that they've bought pairs and that they're very comfortable and that they love them. And when are they going to make more different kinds of collaborations in that model? And I've received a lot of that different feedback. And it's so interesting because before that, and that information, and we did a visual capsule for that. So the visual capsule lives on our Instagram page, so you can go and see the stories of these women and why they love the sneakers. And we asked the women different questions. It was a Q&A, so we asked them different questions, and they were able to express themselves about the sneaker and what was its importance. And that teaches other women. And I think, for me personally, that's always where I wanted to go, was to teach other women, because I didn't learn this by myself. And it's very important to have a mentor. And I think certain women are not okay with understanding that they've been mentored or have had a mentor, and they're not open or receptive to it. Everybody wants that credit for doing it on their own, for being their own person. And it's like, this is so much information, there's so much product, there's so many different things. Like, as much as I know, there's so many things I don't know. And you know what? It's interesting. The person that be putting me like, ooh, he hits me with little facts that I'd be like, damn, I didn't remember the name of that sneaker. Classic Kenny. When it comes up to what class, like, he's like an encyclopedia of OG things in his head. And when we talk about something, and he's like, but you don't remember there was 7 colorways of that, and I'm like, no. Like the other day, he just randomly sends me messages, voice memos, and he's like, I just copped 2 pairs. You remember the grandmama? And I'm like, which one? He's
Oh
like,
yeah, Aero Jams.
yeah, but he bugs me out because he's like, with the 45 or the 6? He's like, I'm looking for the Converse with the 6 or the 45. And it's just like the different questions. And it's just like, damn, I don't even remember what you're talking about unless we get on the phone and he really jogs my memory. But, that's to say that there's so much that I didn't learn. So,
All right.
mentors are just super important to keep the culture and keep the history alive, because without that, you're giving brands opportunities to keep recreating, and this is not their culture, it's of the people.
And that's why I love telling the stories about growing up. Making the decision on sneakers I had to buy. When I talk about Reebok, talk about Adidas, even talking about Nikes. You mentioned Classic Kitty. I love buying OGs and old ones, unwearables, whatever, and I keep them. And I know I'm not gonna wear them because I can't, or I'm not. But I love knowing them because that's the history that I have growing up with them, learning them. Like you said, the Larry Johnson's Aero Jams. You had the Kevin Johnsons. You had a lot of sneakers. People don't even remember when Converse used to be called Cons.
Right.
Just the
Just
basketball ones
on.
with the React juice.
Absolutely.
They when they started retroing some of the cons, they didn't put the React juice bacon. So I
I
had to tell
actually,
people like, yo, where's the React juice?
when they had the Converse, the Don C, the collaboration, I actually headed the influencer marketing campaign for that and got
Hmm.
a lot of great people in that sneaker. And I just wanted to see what some new people look like in an old sneaker and what their flex looks like. And it was amazing how, I was able to see people like Liz B. Croft, right? How she rocked that sneaker. She rocked the hell out of it, but in a very modern version. And that made the photography, it made the swag, it made the feel of that sneaker so much more harder. But throughout the years, like, I've always loved, like, I love Adidas, I've always loved Adidas. I always loved Nike. Like, I love every brand. I mean, I always give Reebok that credit of making me want to have lots of sneakers, because I always
All
envisioned
right.
having lots of Reebok when I first learned about the sneaker. But, you know, Jordan brand is always going to have my heart, because at the end of the day, I grew up in the hood, a Jordan girl stomping with my sneakers. But then there's brands like Diodora. I fucks with Diodora heavy. Then you got Mizuno. So Mizuno is one of my
It's running.
modern loves. It's one of my more modern, loves of sneakers. And then you have the classic Pumas. So it's like I've dabbled in everything. And that's what I think makes me a very seasoned collector, is that, to me, I'm looking for materials. I'm looking for updated technology. I'm looking to move forward. Like, I can't be on this wave of buying 100 pairs of Jordan 1s. And for the people who love it, it's absolutely great, because you love that one sneaker. Just like people
Right.
say, all right, you don't like ones, but you have 150 pairs of fucking Reebok, which we don't understand why you have so many 5411s. And
I
it's
hate
like,
that. You can't have that view of that. Like you can't tell me like see you and I love for something. You love that Reebok model. I will never. I have the Continental 80s. The ones that recently
yeah,
released that retro feel. Those I have about 20 pairs of those. And then people are like, you got 20 pairs of those, but you
why?
don't like this. And what?
Why? I have like
Don't
two
do that.
pairs of those. I have two pairs. But in my defense, I call them snacks, because I have like I have my taste for rare and exclusive, but I have a taste for most of my collection. And what people love is that, and it's crazy, because 30 years ago I was buying, 20 years ago I was getting general release Jordans. Now they just happen to be the original retros and the most iconic, and it's like, now, right? People are neglecting general releases, but in 20 years those are going to be the bombastics right there. Those are going to be the flea sneakers. So it's like,
All
and
right.
it's not always about having the rare and exclusive, but after so many years of collecting, I'm sitting on original 10s, 12s,
All
13s,
right.
14s, 15s, 16s, 17. I'm looking at a pair of 20s right now, and a pair of original violets that's just sitting out in my crib. So it's like, why do I want to go back and buy more of the same, or buy an updated, unless mine are damaged? So the ones that are damaged, yeah, I'm going to cop them, but I'm not really going to indulge in something that my old eyes have seen for so many years. I want new.
Well, even for the ones that I have that are OGs that are unwearable, if they retro again, I won't even buy it. Like I'm not in a dire need to wear something, which I want to kind of talk about. So let's transition into like more sneaker stuff. So like, do you currently in your collection have a lot of DS sneakers?
I have doubles. I'm a doubles person. If I like something, I'm gonna buy two pairs. Like I just got two pairs of Royals this morning because I know I'm a trash one, and then I'm gonna have the other one to wear when I want to go out to dinner and go out with my friends.
Okay.
I trash sneakers, like bad. Like I'm one that sometimes on a first wear that's done, like I scraped it, I did something, I did something, but I do have DS sneakers from like 2011, 2012. Like I always cop two pairs of SBs, so right now I'm sitting on two pairs of a lot of SBs. But as I've gotten older, and this is, I want to say older meaning the last 2 years, I've come to
Hmm.
understand that my collection is deteriorating. I've come to understand that I'm getting rid of a lot of sneakers. I've come to understand that I will never wear half of some of these sneakers as much as I should, just because I've amassed so many. So I started, I have friends who are literally my same foot size, same everything. Yo, you want these? Take them for retail. So I have homegirls that are taking, or I'm offloading them to them, my doubles, because I know like the one I have is in good condition. I'm never going to damage it because I'm never going to wear it that much. So yeah, I do have a good amount of DS because they're doubles.
And see, that's what I had to start doing. Like, I mean, I used to, my friends, like, once their kids got to a certain size, I would say, hey, go ahead and take all my Revises. I love the Revis, but go ahead and take all of them. He'd take, walk out of here with about
Revis
six, seven
always
pairs of
reminds me
them.
of Sneaker Galactus because not only does he have Revis, he got PE Revis. So
Hmm.
shout out to Chad because
He doesn't like me.
no,
I don't know if he doesn't like me. Me and him got into it because I had talked about when we used to buy sneakers back in the day and how when you would buy the sneaker, you felt like that. Like if I went and bought a Jordan, I couldn't wait to go hoop and shoot a fadeaway. If I bought Rodmans, I couldn't wait to go out there and try to play defense harder and rebound.
got
He
you.
said that was stupid. He said that was stupid. And I said, if you were young and grew up, like I bought questions, I couldn't wait to go outside and start doing crossovers. Like I was doing
But because
crossovers in the
for
house.
you, and it's like it's a different emotion, it's a different feeling for everybody, right? Me, I couldn't
Right.
wait to put them. Like I will put on, I put on a foam and I feel like a thug. Don't tell me nothing in a foam because you may get it real fast. Like don't tell me nothing in a foam, But
Right.
a sneaker like a Air Force One, that lace may be a little floppy. It may crease. I'm not about creasing, so that's a smooth day for me. So sneakers are all about and all attached to our feelings and emotions. Someone had told me one day, like, yo, I notice every time you mad, you wear heat. So on a day that I'm like pissed off and I don't know what it is, I'll pick a pair of just some flamers. And throughout the whole day, everybody's like, yo, your sneakers are nice. Your sneakers look nice. And here I am, like, I'm upset for the day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And my friend's like, yo, you always throw on some super fire when you tight. And I'm like, I don't know what that's about, but you noticed it. And now I notice it every time. I guess it just makes me happy.
That's a good point because I wear Vans and Chuck Taylors when I'm in a really good mood. Like when I'm just
Yo,
relaxed, I ain't tripping,
my
throw on a pair of
mother
Vans.
my mother calls those sneakers poor. She tells me in Spanish, why you want to wear those sneakers of poor people when you have all these other nice sneakers? So it sounds very funny in Spanish because the sneakers de los pobres. So she's like, why you want to wear those sneakers de los pobres and you got all these other nice sneakers? And I'm over here because I love some bands. I'm not really Chucks because there's not enough support for my ankles, but
Right.
band collaborations, the Nintendos and all the characters and Harry Potters and all that modern stuff.
Right.
I love it. I'm all for that. But my mom seems to think
Um,
they're poor sneakers.
has being quarantined in home and stuff like that, has it changed your view on sneakers? Like for me personally, like I asked you about the DS sneakers in your collection because I have so many DS pairs, and now I've been at home and kind of like been with my sneakers and looking at them with my family and stuff. I'm like, this is ridiculous because I'm dying to get back, not dying to get back out there. I want to be responsible. I want everybody to be responsible, but I can't wait to get back out there so I can unds all these. I'm done with having DS sneakers. Has your view changed being quarantined?
Um, I think for the most part, if everybody digs deep inside themselves, they will see that they have some new thoughts that's pertaining to their sneaker love, passion, and collection. And I think everybody has like different thoughts about it. Me, I'm downsizing. Personally, I want to live normal. I don't want to have 2 rooms of sneakers storage, in and out of storage. Like, I'm just kind of tired of the lifestyle. I'm
Right.
converting sneakers with horrible boxes and plastic boxes into the drop fronts, and I'm taking the doors off the drop fronts. So there are different things that I'm doing while I'm quarantined. Am I slowing down on copping? Not at all. But there's not enough
Me neither.
sneakers coming out. So what I did is I always keep a running list of sneakers I want, and I start taking it off the list as I cop. But because sometimes I don't get a chance to cop everything, because in a week it'll be like 5 pairs of sneakers and I'll cop five and there's 10 that I really want. So,
Right.
but I'm looking at, like, right now I have my panda collection out. It's all my sneakers that are panda inspired, because I'm weird like that. I'll want I'll create my own series, like holograms. I love hologram sneakers, so I have my hologram collection. So I have like different weird collections that I want to finish. So I need a piece out of each of them in order for me to feel satisfied in my crazy head. So I think being quarantined, I've spent some time with my sneaker collection as opposed to throwing them on, dipping, coming back, putting them on
Right.
again, taking just a day to organize them. I've come to really be able to organize them, look at them, see what I'm wearing, what I'm not wearing, what I'm harboring because of an emotion, and what I'm harboring because I rock. So a lot of the times we may have sneakers that we still hold on to, that we wear once every 3 or 4 years, but we love it because we bought it with our best friend who's not here anymore, or grandma bought it for me, or you know what, I love that sneaker, but it don't really fit me that well anymore, but I'm gonna keep it there in case I want to wear it. So I think, like, for me, I've just been looking at wanting to downsize my collection, and that's what quarantine has really showed me. So I have a few friends who I'm like, you know what, I'm giving these all to you. I'm giving these all to you because I know
Right.
organically they love them. So I'm like, here, take that.
And see, that's where I was last night. I'm at to the point, like me and my wife, my wife's a realtor. She's one of the top realtors in Arizona, and we're like looking at our closet, and I'm like like really considering calling somebody to like redesign our closet. But we were like, you know what, we'll just buy another house. I was at the point last night to where, so this week alone, I have over, I think it was about 7, 8 pickups, and I just have no space for them. And I got to the point to where I'm now folding up clothes, like stuff that was on hangers. I gotta fold those up to make room for sneakers. Like all my pants are folded now on the shelf.
Well,
And
my
and, and
my apartment now is sneaker inspired. Like, I have, my shower bathroom set is the Para Air Max 1 set. My living room has pictures of Air Maxes and the Adoras on the wall, just so that my house don't look crazy when you come in and see just a bunch of sneakers. So it kind of blends. So my whole apartment is sneaker inspired, so that I don't look like a crazy sneaker person when you're walking into a normal living room and you see just walls of sneakers next to your TV and by your sofa. So, spending so much time with my sneakers is like, I've got to see, like, I haven't been wearing some right. There's some that I was supposed to buy a piece for, a jersey or a jacket or something, I never did. Or the reason I bought, like, for an example, I have the Jordan wing satin jacket that they only made 50 pairs in the Chicago
hmm
colorway. And I'm like, I got like 4 pairs of satins, but I don't have the first satin that came out, the satin ones that came out. So I'm like, that jacket was made for that. I meant to buy it and I didn't, because I kept going with different satins. I went and got the fives, I got the other women's ones. The shattered backboards don't match. So it's like, now I got to go back and get those. So that's really what I've just been focusing on, is trying to finish the collections and putting together the pieces that I bought, because we were running so fast with time, and now there's
hmm
not many collections, there's not many stuff coming out, so there's not many kicks. So right now it's just about going backwards And I'm also lowballing everybody on eBay and StockX. They're probably so mad at me. I was talking to PR Sneaks about this. Shout out Ray. We were talking about sneakers that we want, that we're buying, that nobody gives a fuck about. Like
Right.
we like one. Everybody hates One Lows. I like One Lows because that's a sneaker that you slip on and you leave the house. So that's the
We love One Lows.
so I like them to go to the bodega. I like them to go do laundry. Literally, they're already tied for the forever. So all I gotta
Right.
do is slip my foot in and I'm out. And it's like they're perfect for that, as opposed to actually like not many sneakers I feel that comfortable to just slide in and out. They're like my Uggs. I call them Uggs. But I my first love of Jordans was not a one. It was a two. I have a two obsession. So my two game is stupid, but I love two
Hmm.
lows. And it's so
Two
funny.
Lows are very underrated.
So they're very underrated, but my boyfriend he calls them shoes, my zapatos. So when I wear them, he'd be like, "Oh, you're in the mood for heels today?" I'm like, "Shut up," because the front points up. So
Right.
he says they're my shoes. So he's like, "Oh, you're in the mood for shoes today?" So I just crack up. But there's so many sneakers that are underrated that people just don't care about. And I was talking to Ray about it, like, how are you spending quarantine? And he's like, "Well, I'm copying some stuff that nobody cares about." And I'm like, "Me too. Which ones?" And we're talking about just a list of sneakers and, the prices, and that we're lowballing everybody. So I'm on eBay sending offers for $50, $60 on things. I sent about 20. I got two people accepted the other day. And on StockX, I'm doing the same thing. I'm throwing out these bids. If you want them, you take. I call them crackhead bids. I'm putting them out there. If you need the money, it's reasonable. It's a little bit over retail. I'm not offering you too much. If you're gonna take it, you take it. And people are taking. So that's what I'm
And that's
noticing.
what I've been doing that a lot on eBay too since we've been in the house. Like a lot of the AirTech Challenge 2s, the ones that were like astronomical prices a while ago, Wimbledon's, US Open, stuff like that. I'm seeing them popping up places a lot more lately, and I'm hitting them with the low balls. And they're not biting yet, but when they just keep reposting their stuff on eBay another 30 days and doesn't sell again another 30 days, they'll bite.
Oh yeah, I
They'll
had
bite
somebody
eventually.
who has had. I've been watching a pair of sneakers for like, I want to say 8 months, and I sent them a very
Hmm.
reasonable offer. I keep sending them the offer and sending them the offer, and they have wrote back to me, "Thank you, but I'm waiting. I know I could sell them for this price," and I'm like,
Right.
maybe in like another 2 years, maybe, because I've been watching them for 9 months, so they're not really gonna go. Yo, they were just. I know I caught somebody's vein. I know I caught somebody's vein because I was like, but if you want, I was like, you know what? You want me to pay through another method? You want me to pick them up? I will pick them babies up. And they were just over me. They were like, no, thank you. But then there's some companies on eBay that you already know. Like I've known, what is it? Kaylee 1001 or something like that. The name is.
Okay.
They sell at the highest. They're the highest price of every sneaker. And they've been like
Hmm.
that for like 10 years, just selling out for 10 years. And it's wild to see that. Just like one Croatian style. When you used to see Croatian style
Uh-huh.
on eBay, Croatian style had the highest prices.
Yeah, I mean, they're like soul supremacy has been on eBay for a long time. You should
Have,
go on there.
of course, a lot of these companies, I know them from eBay. I never knew them on social media.
Right. And when I see them on social media, I'm like, wait a minute, I know them off
Yeah,
eBay.
like Soul Supremacy, I copped a lot. I took out my horrible anniversary 11s, the white Jordan anniversary 11s that are freaking urine colored at this point. And when I took out the original receipt to put them in the drop front, it was from Soul Supremacy.
Um, I was gonna say going back, you said you're one of those people that love to finish the collections. Do you like even the thought or the possibility of like this week they said Grinch's supposedly going to get re-retroed. The possibility, actually, Yeezy being okay with Nike wanting re-release Yeezys. Do you like seeing sneakers like that retroed?
Absolutely. I'm not one of these people that feels like you shouldn't retro a sneaker 100 times. There are 80 million people trying to cop these sneakers. So it's like you're never going to get every sneaker. Nobody's ever going to get every single exclusive, every single sneaker unless you're like T-Mark. But nobody's ever going to get every single sneaker like that. So it's like, there's certain people that they go out there and this is a sport. this is our own sport. This is mimicked after basketball and after sports, but in the end of the game, at the end of the day, getting these sneakers, it's its own hoops that we have to jump through. So it's like, so many people never got to, like, the first Yeezy, the silhouette is dope. The second one on Nike is dope. The silhouette is still hasn't been till this day. I don't think there's anything from Nike that looks like that. They've tried it and it
Uh,
stinks.
Kyrie 6 a little bit. They try.
You
Yeah,
can't even
no.
compare that. That's just like, what the. But
Eh.
at the end of the day, at the time, they also didn't make many small sizes. So you have a handful of women who have that sneaker. So it's like, now the times have changed. So every time you retro something that hasn't, and I don't want to say retro like it came out in 2016 and now it's coming out again. I want to say something that hasn't come out in a decade. Because right now your sneaker is trashed. So if I have a sneaker like 95 OG Neon, mine OG is trashed and my retro is trashed. So now I need another one. So it's like, there's so many sneakers that I could use. I have grape 95s, women's grapes. I have 4 pairs of them because every time they retro, I need to get one because I keep trashing them. Those are sneakers that you wear. So if you wear the sneaker and they're retroing it, cool, you have a chance and an opportunity to get it again. My problem with retros is that they're never the same material, and sometimes they're missing details that represents the nostalgia. So you want
Oh,
to
no, no. So before you even say that, I call, like, when they re-release a Jordan 4, if it doesn't have the Nike on the back, it's a replica to me. I
right,
call them replicas
replica
because it's,
variant. You
you
want
know,
to
it's
call that a
it's
shit, a variation.
yes, it's not, and people get mad. Yo, it's not a replica. No, you know what? It's not the OG version. I get upset when Nike Jumpman and everybody's like, this is getting ready to release in the original cut. What have I been wearing? I thought I was wearing the original cut all the 5 times you retroed. Now, let me talk. Let's go back to the Yeezys and the Grinch. Now, there's 2 different ways I classify like a legend. The Jordan
The
3,
Grinch,
Jordan
I just
4,
don't
5. Those are
understand. I don't
legends.
understand why now. Like, unless it's on Christmas, then you want to release a Grinch, and because
Right.
it's a Kobe, and I think more people will buy that sneaker now than as many people dubbed it. Because at the time, like, I had the opportunity to get those or to get a KD4. And I was like, I'm gonna get the KD4 because I was obsessive with KD4s. So I wasn't even too crazy.
One of the
But I
greatest of
do
all
love
time.
Kobe. Kobe's not here with us anymore. So I cop a Grinch now just because I want to honor Kobe and I want to celebrate him maybe during Christmas time and celebrate his kid during Christmas time because of the story. And I think Nike wants to capitalize on that story. So it's
So let me say this real quick. So when I talk about the retros of stuff, a Yeezy 2 and a Grinch are legendary for different reasons.
correct.
Jordan 3s and all that are legendary for a different reason.
Correct.
When I see a Grinch come out, and like you said, when it comes to Kobe sneakers and stuff like that, for all the years obviously before his passing, it was sneaker heads and some Laker fans, we were competing for those. When I see a Grinch comes out, it has to be a GR. Like, it has to be, because we are no longer competing with sneakerheads to buy this. We're creating for the casual Kobe fan, the Laker fan. Like, we'd almost be competing with the world. I don't want to see a sneaker like that again be exclusive to a few. A Yeezy 2. Everybody should be able to have an opportunity to get a Yeezy 2 if a retro. It takes away how special it makes some feel with it, but the competition for it would be astronomical. Like, and you equated it to sport. We call giving somebody our $300 for a sneaker a win. We call somebody not letting us giving $300 an L.
Right. Right.
So I don't want to see a Kobe Grinch or a Yeezy 2 release unless everybody could possibly have a better shot of getting it.
Yeah, all right, but you know what? Realistically, we don't have a shot at getting all of our sneakers.
Of course not.
It's part of the same flow that we have with every other sneaker. It's no different. Unless you're Yeezy right now, who is making sure that everybody gets his sneaker. What
Right.
he's doing with one model of sneaker is making sure everyone touches it. The Yeezy, the 350 V2 is the new Uptown. Everybody's rocking that. That's your new
100%.
that's your new Air Force One, that's your new Uptown, that's your new hood sneaker, that's your new, everybody has that sneaker. He's making sure everybody has that sneaker. You see what it takes to make sure everybody has that sneaker. He's retroing, he's doing wide re-releases, which is different from just retroing and just getting it out. He's doing wide releases 5 times on the same model per model, coming back out
And
and sending it
do
out.
you like
And
that?
I think it gives people the opportunity to get the sneaker. I'm all for the opportunity for people getting the sneaker. I could care less about the value, if it brings it down, if it makes it, because I'm all like, I just want to wear it. And I think people should just want to wear the sneaker. So if it's that you can't get the sneaker, I'm a by any means necessary type of sneaker collector. There is no no for me. There is no I can't get it. There's no I can't touch it. It's just the methods that people do to get these sneakers. Like, you only have one method. And if I could drop game, is like, you need a network. You need people that all buy sneakers, and you can't keep every sneaker. So there's some sneakers you got to give up for the sake of getting your next sneaker. So it's like, sometimes people get exclusives and they don't even like it, but they're gonna keep it because they paid retail on the Nike draw. And it's like, why? You don't even like it. Now the next sneaker comes out, you really like it, you can't get it. It's 1,500 on StockX. There's different reasons. So it's like, you haven't built a network of people where you discuss sneakers, you trade sneakers, you sell sneakers to each other. You get sneakers from Utah, you ship them to Miami. You have sneakers in New York, you ship them to LA. So it's like, if there's anything that I could influence, is create a small network for yourself of people who buy sneakers. Not like sneakers is different. People who have sneakers in the same collection caliber, and they collect at the same rate as you. And then from there, you will be able to you'll be able to try and cop at a better rate. So it's like, there is no, you're not going to get that sneaker from me. And I just think that, like, people accept the losses. This is my empowerment speech now. Don't accept
Hmm.
the L's. If you're only relying on Nike.com, and you know what, a lot of places don't have the luxury of New York, right? So I have friends in Utah, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and they love collecting. I remember when Miami Nights came out, the lows, everybody was like the LeBrons. Everybody's like, yo, I need to get my hands on them. I need to touch those. And it's like, oh, that's going to be a hard one, because they will have to drive 8 hours from Utah down to Vegas, where they were coming out in a house of hoops. And they were planning on
Right.
camping there all night. And it was really planning. It was really a lot of planning. But at the end of the day, what they copped from that store was not for them to keep, because they didn't really want that sneaker. But then on this side of town, they wanted bins. So it was like, yo, you caught bins for this price. Let's go back and forth, and let's try and get these sneakers that I want and sneakers that you want. And I just don't feel, that I can't get it, just doesn't apply to me.
I think a lot of one of the main issues too is a lot of people, what you're saying is something that used to be done a lot, back in the day, was networking with people who wanted the sneakers. Right now, I find a lot of networking groups, also sell a lot more. Like for me personally, if I got something that I didn't necessarily want, but I could make a good amount of money off of it, I would sell it because then I can go buy five, six pairs of something that I know I'm gonna
True.
wear and I like.
Truth, truth, truth.
So I think it's kind of hard for some to follow that networking. I think like sneakerheads like you and I, we could. There's a lot of us who've been in it for a long time that do have that base
Nah,
of
I think
people who.
a lot of people can. It's just a lot of people don't, you know, have some people skills and
Right.
have some sense of self when it comes up to your sneaker game, right? Just don't keep everything because you could get it. Just don't, like, what's new? I love, I'm trying to think of something that I didn't love. I'm trying to think of something that I didn't love. The Black Cause. So I caught the Black Cause, and I caught it for retail, and I was like, when I put it next
I
to the
did too. I
gray,
had
I was
two.
like, I'm never gonna wear this. I'm just never gonna wear it. And
Hmm.
and me personally, black suede, I'm gonna tear it up. So I'm like, you know what? I knew that uh I knew that I wanted a few other sneakers. So I was like, you know what? Let me see who in my network wants this, even if they will resell it. I don't care. I'm just looking for my sneaker, and I'm looking for what I want.
Yeah, I mean, it works out that way. It can. I mean, I had black cause. I had two pair of black causes fours as well, and I traded one and gave some cash for off white Presto, the OG.
Well, I'll
So,
tell you like
you know,
an amazing short story. The day the causes, the gray ones, came out, they released
hmm
them in the Brooklyn Museum in Brooklyn, and I I actually am the person that figured out that they were releasing there, and I let all my peoples know, and everybody was the first 10 online because I contacted. Well, I did the mathematics. A year before that release, Cause had a big exhibit, and I was trying to figure out where in the city they would do a Cause release. So we have people driving by the normal Nike spots where they do pop-ups, and
right.
and they, and this is like, I'm talking about like 30 spots, and so in different boroughs, and everybody's driving by to see if there's paper on the wall, on the windows, to see if there's any installations being built. Nothing. So I'm like, but he just had an exhibit last year in the Brooklyn Museum. So it's like, all right, cool. But there's nothing. We called the Brooklyn Museum, and Brooklyn Museum has nothing on the schedule for any kind of Jordan release or any collaboration with Jordan. So I'm like, all right, maybe it's his basketball court. So we're figuring it out. Finally, I call somebody who's a friend who has access to any sneaker that comes out. It draws a lot of people, a crowd. You have to have a permit for it. So
Okay.
I'm like, yo, can you check for me if there's any permits for the Brooklyn Museum for tonight? And person checked, person said, yes, there's a permit under this name. That's an alias for Jordan Brand. I said, thank you. So at 3 in the morning, we was out and everybody was on the line. And I sent a friend, but I didn't go myself because I had to work in the morning. So a few of my friends were on the line. My friend was on the line to get my pair. So we were able that when security saw the first few people on the line starting to make the line, they were like, how the fuck did you figure this out? Like, what the fuck do you people do to figure this out? Security was like, there's no way this could have leaked because the museum itself didn't know that this was going to happen. But
Right.
this is what I mean by any means necessary. I'm gonna use this noodle noggin known as my brain to figure out. And I'm like, you know what? Boom, this is where it came out. And people were jumping, getting back on the line, getting a second pair. We're horrible in New York.
I will say this, and I always tell everybody, like when on social media and sneaker publications, when they show, people who are like still getting in altercations or fightings and stuff, a lot of the times it's still in New York. And I said,
Cause
you
it's
know what?
too
I don't.
crowded. It's just
Huh?
too
Yes.
crowded.
Okay. Yes. So, and I said, you know what? I understand why, because it's so much work to navigate in New York that by the time you actually get to your destination, you're really not trying to deal with the crowds and the people next to you. Parking, if you got to take the train to the spot, if it's raining, if it's cold, if whatever
Let me
the
tell you
elements
something.
are.
Even if you pay to play, right? Because out here, a lot
hmm
of resellers will hit off security, store managers. Everybody plays to get pieces out here, right? But
hmm
even if you do that, right, and you're walking down the block to jump on that line, the eyes, the pressure, and the way people are looking at you is like, oh, this person better not go to the front. We've been
Facts.
waiting here for 10 hours. This is a riot. And it's like, that's what gets people upset is the disrespect. It has nothing to do with the actual sneaker or wanting the sneaker or robbing the sneaker. If people really wanted to rob people, you're on a line with, in New York, sometimes these lines are 1,000 to 3,000 people. I remember when Yeezys was just lit, V2s and Belugas and all these sneakers. For you have Foot Locker on 34th Street, 42nd Street, will have lines of thousands of people. You waiting, and these people won the sneaker already. You're not even waiting to get it. You won it on the app.
Right.
You're just on a line for 3 hours, and you're literally moving through the street, moving through the store, moving through the stairs. It's so long of a process that you have time to for somebody to step on you, somebody to push you, somebody to spill something on you. You got people that want to smoke all
Mm.
over you. Then you're like, excuse me, this is my space. You got security being very aggressive, telling you to move over 100 times. And I get it, a lot of people don't listen, but just the tone and the way you're asking people could create conflict, because you're not realizing that people are agitated and upset for waiting for so long because you didn't expect the process. You don't expect the process where you start technically online, it works out smooth, you won, you're going to pick up, they give you a time, and the time they give you has 1,000 other people. So it's like, of course that's going to create some bad taste. And then furthermore, when you have go through that experience, you're going to be tight. So there's a lot of room for these young people, because it's really the youth that starts getting into it. But I did see a video the other day of somebody blatantly getting robbed for sneakers. So that does happen, but that doesn't make it to social media. What makes it to social media is the volume and the pandemonium around getting the sneaker.
Like, what's funny is like out here, with New Yorkers, you guys are constantly on top of each other. You're used
Yeah,
to the
that's
crowd
why
and the
Corona's
movement and
spreading
stuff
out here
like that.
crazy.
So it's like out here when it came to sneaker campouts or sneaker events, that us being grouped up and crowded like that was a rare occasion. It would be sneaker releases. So there could be, which there'd always be some that would be disrespectful. People that you never came across a lot of times. We got, there's cats out here, they rough, they come through, bust their way through the lines. Wasn't nobody gonna say a single word. But because a lot of people didn't see those people often
I've
or
been
weren't around
targeted
them
and
often.
robbed as a woman. I got robbed for KD4 Nerfs. I did get the pair back,
What?
but they did rob me in Harlem in front of a house of hoops. I had too many pairs and I was too out in the open, and I was cashing people out. Because I sent the pair like down to my dad. I had a pair for, at the time, my boyfriend. So it was like, I was trying to get 3 and 4 pairs, and I was throwing them in my
Right.
trunk, and somebody came behind me. And, I've had another instance where there was a riot that broke out in front of 21 Mercer, which it was the day I only remember it by sneaker. The DB7 came out. What was that, last year or the year before? Um,
Um.
yeah, it was the DB Jordan 7 with the black and the blood spatter all over it.
Yeah, with like the kid or
Yeah.
the man under the clear soul, whatever it
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
yep. So with that one, with the little rock star. So when
Right.
that one came out, it
There was a riot
was
for that. God.
it was fucking crazy, because I forgot what other sneakers were coming out that day. And there was the illest riot, and I just had got to the front of the store, and I was able to just get right inside. They saw that I was a girl, like literally my face was like on the glass, because they were pushing so hard, and they were pushing the whole line into the store, and I was getting squashed, and they pulled me into the store. And it wasn't for that sneaker. I just can't remember what else came out that day, but it was another one. But there's been a lot of times where, you know, I won a black 750 Yeezy from Kith, and there was goons literally in front of the store looking for people to rob, and you could spot who they are a mile away, because you see these guys looking, wearing black, and you see them looking like thugs. You don't, and to me, I could tell by their footwear. Your footwear don't tell me you a sneakerhead here to get a sneaker. Your footwear tells me that you in a black tight Air Force One, you looking to catch somebody right now. You in a choked Air Force One, a choked black Air Force One, you looking for a lick right now. So it's like, I could spot in a whole crowd people just looking side to side, looking who they're gonna get. And
You
it,
got your you got your sneaker choked up like that. You ready to run
you ready
too.
to run, right? So what happened is that day, when you walked through the crowd into the store, it was like such a crowd. You could feel people's hands touching your hands because they trying to grab a bag.
Oh no.
Literally, you felt that. So you had to park, you had to tell the Uber to stay right in front of the store and don't move, and pay the Uber extra money not to do that. Run in the
That's
store,
work.
pull out your sneaker, run out. And when you're running out, you're holding the sneaker under your jacket for your life to jump in the car. And you feeling hands grabbing to see if you got the sneaker and to see who you are. And you see people looking at you tough. And it's crazy because, I'm 5'8", so I'm a taller woman, so I could see a lot. And I could see a lot of the young boys, and I could see a lot of the small people. But for somebody who's small, for a small woman to go in and deal with that and have to come out and not be able to see her parameters and see everything and be on point, that's real hard. And a man can easily come and take advantage of you. So anyway, that day, I did see somebody get the life slapped out of them and punched in the face, dropped them to the floor, and homie ran with 2 bags of two Yeezys, of two 750 black 750s.
And see, that's crazy. Like out here in we're in Arizona, boy, I remember when DB4s came out, it was pandemonium. But somebody would go inside get their sneakers, and people in line would be like, "Can I look at them?" And they take them out the bag, and everybody would look at them like, "Man, that's
You know what
cool."
I love?
Not even
I
a
love the resellers in Soho. The minute you like, I think one of the most epic days was when the first time the V2s, the Zebras came out. The first time the Zebras came out, that's when they were selling them for 2,000,
right.
1,500. So everybody, all the resellers are always outside on in Mercer, or side on Adidas, anywhere where there's a exclusive release, they're outside trying to cash you out. So
Oh yeah,
they're like, yo, we buy, we buy, we buy, we buy. Yo, you selling, you selling, you selling. So on that day,
like ticket
you
scalping.
don't need a yeah, you don't need to go to that. You don't need to go to, and that's another jewel. If you don't have if you didn't win the sneaker, still go to the store and show up and see who's selling it, because you never know when you're going to catch somebody who just bought it just to make a quick $50 outside, because that's the reality that they're going to make. There's some people that they they don't really know value, they just want to make a quick 50, quick 100. They be ready to sell it to you right outside the store, so be there and be present. So that day, everybody who won the sneaker went to go pick up their sneakers from the Adidas on Spring Street. The streets were lined of people just looking for the sneaker, wanting to wear it, wanting to buy it. So you see people, I'm about to sell it to this guy for 2,400, and everybody's like, yay! Then another one, I'm about to sell for 22, yay! But those are literally the numbers that they're screaming out. 17, yay! But you got people walking around with this kind of money to just give to resellers, and it's just
Right.
incredible. But that day was epic because everybody was reselling in the street and everybody was copping a resell. I don't think there was anybody that won that sneaker that was keeping it that day. And and then they retroed it 6 times, and all those people who paid 2,000 are sick.
How are mom and pop shops in New York? Are
They
they
don't exist.
still around?
They don't
Okay.
exist.
When I talked to Skate a few weeks ago, and I don't know if you know who Skate the Great is.
Of
He's one of
course.
the homies in California. So we talk about mom and pop shops. Well, I'm from California, and even out here in Arizona, we had a few mom and pop shops. But the mom and pop shop, I feel like, is like always been a New York thing. And I remember I had a little back and forth with, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody who was involved with like the store that Fat Joe has.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I yeah, and I kept telling people, I kept saying like, man, I hate when a lot of celebrities, get involved with their own stores, and when stores like Kith and Stadium Goods and stuff like that become these tourist attractions, because your people will go to a Kith to go buy a regular Adidas shell toe when they could go get the shell toe from the mom
They
and
want the
pops, and it
experience,
just
because
they
it's
want the
all about,
experience.
right now, what it is you have destination shops. So these are shops
Facts.
that you want to travel to just to visit and just to buy something from, to explore the culture and to get that experience. And I think there's a few stores that really master experience so that you really feel it. But in what happened is, the brands control the stores because they control their product. Now, Nike has their own stores now, their own apps. So what do they need these shops for? But they know that they can't pull out of big box stores, because a lot of stores, especially like a Foot Locker, relies on Nikes. Like if you take Nikes out of Foot Locker, I don't think we'll have a Foot Locker anymore.
No, go out of
So
business.
yeah, they'll go out of business. So what happens is, when you don't give exclusives to mom and pop shops, people don't go to them anymore. And back in the day, mom and pop shops, at least if you had a tier 0 account,
Hmm.
right, you would still get maybe one hot product a month. You'll get some shit. But now you don't have that type of tiering anymore. You're keeping all the product for your website and your launches so that you could make 100% on that. And then you have mom and pop shops just falling apart unless they convert to digital. But then certain brands say now you can't sell this product online, you can only sell in store. The brands really, really destroyed mom and pop shops. To me, mom and pop shops are much better in Japan than New York because you find jewels of sneakers out there. Have they rated it now? Yes. You don't find that what no more what you used to find in Japan. But now you used to, like, I used to go into this store. This store had one of the first Jordan accounts in like ever. It was called Bob's. It was a sneaker store, just Bob's sneaker store. They had one of the oldest Jordan accounts. I think they closed when their Jordan account was like 37 years old. Like,
Hmm.
even before the brand was officially launching product, they were already established, set up, selling Nikes, selling athletic wear. They had that account for so many years, and they had to close because they just weren't cutting it. Because nowadays, you have to have staff in order to cover your overhead, your staff, then these mom and pop shops now have to jump into creating content and marketing where before they
Right.
didn't. So now you have to have a big bag behind you in order to do that, and a great team and a great vision and a great concept. There was a store in Long Island called Sneaker Aquarium. Little shit was filled with water and sneakers, literally. Dope ass concept, but the location was so out there, you couldn't even get out there to enjoy it. So it was a bad location, but a bomb idea. But the more you see those types of shops pop up, is the more that you will the more concept shops pop up, is the way we'll get that feel of mom and pop shops. But
Hmm.
that's done out here. Right now it's all about big box, the Foot Lockers, the Nordstrom, the House of Hoops, the Flight 23s, the Nikes, the Adidas flagship, Puma flagship. It's all about the flagships right now. I do love what they've done with Foot Lockers, and where they've created these mini malls where product is segregated by brand or by like, it has a different feel. So you have the kids Foot Locker next door to the Fly Zone, next door to the House of Hoops, but it's all in one space. It's just different rooms. Next door to the Puma shop, next door to the women's shop, next door to the Timberland shop. Literally, they're little rooms of just all one product. And I love
Like,
that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I love it because it lets you dig deeper into that one product.
One of the things that we were talking about, like those, the experience is, the very first time I ever went to New York, my mind was like, I gotta get to Kith, and I love Kith and the feeling of it when
Which
you're
Kith
in
did you
there.
go to?
The one was closer to Manhattan. I'm not sure
The Bleecker, the
what,
Manhattan one.
Bleak, yeah, Bleecker, yeah. So I went to that. I think I've been to all of them. I'm not sure. I've been to New York a bunch of times, but I loved. Well, does the Bleecker one have treats too?
Yeah.
Okay, so um, I liked the feeling in there. Like I went in there spending money on sneakers that I knew I think I could have found cheaper elsewhere, but it just felt good to have the Kith bag. And you're at the register, and they got the mannequins are dressed
I
dope, and when
love
they
Kith
bring out the
Brooklyn so much, and I love it more than next time try Kith Brooklyn because
okay,
you get that I don't know, maybe because it's me. Downtown Brooklyn is a very nostalgic feel. Downtown Brooklyn used to be where Fulton Street was, where you went and copped sneakers when you were young. And right next to Kith in Brooklyn, you got Vinnie Styles, which is a very, you know, rappers rapped about Vinnie Styles, Fab, Jay-Z for years. So you get to kind of experience Vinnie's, you get to experience Kith, and you get to kind of, the two together give it that feel of real Brooklyn and just swag, because you're seeing a lot of style in both stores. And then the treats is just epic because I just love cereal, so they hit it on the nose for me. But I heard Kif Miami. I haven't gone there since it opened. It's been a minute, so I gotta go test that out. But I've had some great experiences, like sneaker shopping in Miami, sneaker shopping in Vegas. When Urban Necessities was at the Boulevard Mall, I man, that was the first time I ever seen a resale shop that size.
right,
And they put out all the same model of everything they have. So like a Flight Club, if they have a Adidas, if they have a Yeezy, they're gonna put that one
right,
Yeezy and the sizes on the bottom. No, Urban
right.
Necessities puts all of them out. So you're looking at a whole rack of just Yeezys, and then underneath you're looking at a whole rack of another exclusive, and the visual of that was just
Makes you want to buy.
makes you want to buy, but it's so overwhelming. You're like, who the hell puts out? You can never do that in New York. They'll take that one sneaker. They will take the one sneaker out here. So it's just it was amazing visual.
Yeah, no, that's just creative branding, marketing, and how you set up your shop. Talking to Jay, 2J's from Urban Necessities. He talked about how like that store saved that mall. Like that mall was done, but having people camped out at a
Well,
resale
that
shop is
mall
crazy.
was it's not a mall for young, it wasn't a mall that had stores for young people, was what it is.
Right.
So that mall was it wasn't a store for young people. It has older shops, handmade, they make like handmade Sweet 16 dresses in there. They have
It was
customization
like this
shops,
mall we have out
embroidery
here.
shops.
Right.
It was a very small mall that was catered to an older demographic. So, yes, between having urban necessities and the presence of an EB Kicks kiosk in the same mall
Mm-hmm.
it's what had, because all the kids hang out like by the EB Kicks. They come say hi to the kids that work there. They come take pictures with Kenny. So having that representation of sneaker culture, two big names in one place, is what gave it that feel. And when I went there, I went and I got food from a street cart, Ink Kitchen, Las Vegas. He's a street dude who turned his life around and makes like this incredible street cuisine, shrimps and all this amazing teriyaki rice and all of this, literally right outside. So I got that. I busted down and I ate it. Went right into the Boulevard Mall. Went to EB Kicks, got some cleaners, said what's up to everybody, was loving that feel because they are so warm and welcoming. And then you go into Urban Necessities. And they told me, they were like, yo, if you want to go see a nice sneaker store, go to Urban Necessities. So I went. And when I went in there, I was like, they had a back wall with like uh, the Yeezy Air Force Ones with the bear. And they had like multiple pairs of them in the back on a graffiti wall. I was like, this is so dope. This is amazing. And so just that small experience there was really dope. But then going down Miracle Mile and, seeing the Flight 23 there, Foot Locker there, they don't have the same product that they do in New York. Because just like Miami, I love to go to Miami to get foams because they don't sell out over there ever. They never did.
Right.
Foams never sold out in Miami. So if you wanted a Galaxy, if you wanted something dope, you go straight to Miami and you're gonna get them there. The Miami Collective has a sneaker that I need really, really bad. And I'm not ready to pay that price for it.
What is
But
it?
it's the foam, the Tianjin.
Oh, okay. That's a good
They
looking
have my
phone.
size though. They're sitting on my size for a while and they have a good price on it. I'm just not ready for that price right now. Cause me personally, I have a price limit. I don't spend thousands on sneakers. I don't spend 1,500 on a sneaker. I don't think I've spent over 800, maybe 700, seven, I think is how much I've spent. The
Right.
highest I've spent on a sneaker. And that gotta be
And that's
real
good.
thirsty. That gotta be like, like I need it, please. Or if not, I'm gonna die if I don't get it, or
Now,
something like
paying now
that.
paying now paying a price like that for a sneaker, you're gonna wear it, right?
I wear all my sneakers, so that's
Okay.
not even a question. Like, and not only that, I seem to wear more of my expensive sneakers. Like sometimes I'm just weird. I don't know. Like I said, sneakers tie back to emotions. Sometimes I like a sneaker so much that I wear it for like a week or two straight. And I shouldn't, because then my other sneakers don't get worn. So it's like I'll wear a sneaker for a
I
week or
know.
two straight. Like I'm looking at sneakers right now while I'm speaking. I'm looking at my Jordan Elements, the collection. So I haven't worn those that I'm gonna say like 3 years, any of them. Like there's sneakers that I have Pinnacles that I've never Jordan Pinnacles that I've never worn. The BB Adapt I wore it once. I'm not crazy about that. Hyper Adapt I wore it like twice. So a lot of sneakers don't get that much love only when I need to wear them because there's just so many. Now, there's sneakers that I truly love, and especially if I'm gonna pay, then I'm gonna wear them more because I really want to beat them down. But Then you have sneakers that are just like your everyday beaters. My everyday beaters are my expensive sneakers. And then the cheap ones, I usually want to wear them for a reason, with a nice outfit or because of the color or something. Is something going on there. But there's this, I never understood people who buy sneakers and just look at them or can't or don't wear them or don't want to mess them up. I don't understand that concept.
See, that's kind of where I was right now, being quarantined when it comes to like looking at my sneakers. I unds my Travis Scott sixes to the grocery store the other day
Heard you.
because I just did, and I wouldn't have done that. And I had made this pledge to myself that a lot of these sneakers I'm gonna unds
They
them
look
all.
so dope with the
But
yellow laces.
and see, I never change laces out of stuff. Sometimes I hate putting them through the holes. Like I
I
just don't even
relace
feel like it.
everything. I take off that factory lace. I used to be, when I was younger, I used to lace in diamond shape. I used to lace in all different shapes. I was really good with lacing.
Oh yeah, everyone used to
I
do
used to
that.
tie
Weave
two
patterns,
laces.
all kind of
I used to
stuff.
tie two laces together and make all kinds of patterns. And
Used to
it's
do
crazy
all
because I
that.
have some, and I would make it like ceremonious. Like on a Friday night, I got two new pairs. I'm gonna have a drink. I put the music on. I'm chilling. I'm talking to my friends on the phone, bugging out, and I just start lacing my sneakers with it because it takes time. I have the Jordan 15, the women's boot that comes up to the knee. I have never spent so much time relacing a sneaker than that because the lace is elastic. So it's elastic with two lace tips on it. It is so hard because you got to throw your foot in it and then reshape
Right.
it. Same thing with the
Y-
Tishi highs, the Air Force highs. Yo,
Oh my goodness, those joints are
those
those
took
are for
me
warriors.
those took me 2 to 3 hours to lace one day. Just taking it all out, sticking my foot in, starting it out on foot, taking it off, and keep going. It took me so long. I don't even know why it took me that long for that shit, because it shouldn't, but it just did. But I make a ceremony out of everything with sneakers. That's why it's such a lifestyle with me. So I take my time lacing. I clean all of my sneakers before they go away, back in their boxes. I don't put dirty sneakers away. I have to clean my sneakers because I dirty them really bad. I drop food on them. The other day I wore Tiana Taylor GLC. My dog drooled all over them. So it was like I always clean my sneakers. I make it a habit of that. And when they die and they crumble, I make sure to have a sneaker funeral. I remember all the good things about me wearing them. I remember why I bought them. I remember where I bought them. I say goodbye to them. They're a good sneaker and they go away. I stay having
I
sneaker funerals.
I can't see with me like I would love to say I clean my sneakers all the time, but I don't wear them enough to where I feel like a cleaning is necessary. Like I'll open a box and I'll be like, man, these dirty. Like it'll be food on it,
Me, all
and
I
I'm like,
need is
well,
one
that's it.
wear. One wear, and they have to be clean because one wear, my sole has black scuffs all over them. My toe box has something that I just ate. Whatever I ate is on my sneakers. Like I'm a mess. I step on my own foot. But I also realized I have a habit of twisting my feet, like while I'm standing, and they touch each other. That also is horrible. I also, when I come upstairs, I kick the stairs with my toe
Me
box
too.
all the
I hate
freaking
that.
time. So,
Going up the stairs and down the stairs. I'll hit the
but I
heel on
will
the
have to
stair and
say,
I'll hit the
like
toe box.
growing up the way I did with parents who love sneakers, my father taught me very young how to clean my sneakers. He taught me with a toothbrush, and the things he used to put on his
Pie
sneakers
pan.
I would never put on my sneakers nowadays. But he used to take out dishwashing soap, bleach,
Yep.
shout, all kinds of things depending on what the material was. And he will always finish his leather sneakers with Pond's cream. Till this day, my father still puts Pond's cream on his leather jackets and his leather sneakers. Always. He conditions his sneakers. I learned that from my dad, and that's primarily a reason why my collection is still in really good shape, because I've always adopted to either putting some coconut oil, rubbing coconut oil on some sneakers. Like if you take a dull 11 and you just rub coconut oil all over it, that sneaker's vibrant as fuck.
I
Any
still like you talk about like how your dad taught you to clean them. I remember that. Like I would take the powder detergent with a little dishwashing soap and I would mix it in a pie pan, whatever we had.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving pie pans, we'd save those, mix them
yeah,
up, toothbrush, and I would clean them. And then even to this day though, I still condition the leather like to make it look,
right.
give it that shine and plush.
That's amazing. So it's like my parents, they taught me so, like, my mom, I say she has sneaker folklore because I've never heard these things that she says, but it's just like how I was raised. Like we never did white sneakers in the winter. White sneakers was for the summer. So the minute Easter comes, all white sneakers come out. White K Swiss, white Air Force
Right.
One, white Reebok Classics. All the white sneakers was for the summer. And then in the winter, my mother's like, you don't buy white in the winter. You have to buy black or dark colors. So that's some real old school folklore because it's so funny.
Hmm.
My dad, when he used to try sneakers on, he used to do a stance like to fight. And I used to always ask him, Daddy, why are you gonna fight in your sneakers? He's like, cause when you buy your sneakers, you never know when you're gonna get into some shit. So you always gotta know. And he don't call them sneakers, they dogs. He's like, so when you throw on your dogs, you gotta know if they're comfortable for you to kick some ass. And I'm like, all right, heard you, Dad. I don't know why they're called dogs, but that's some real old school New York
Right.
slang that they call them dogs.
But
And
I love that though.
yeah, it's crazy. So it's like they have their folklore and their myths and what they believe should be done with sneakers. And I'm like, yo, people, my mother now she'd be like, oh, that's so tacky wearing white sneakers in the winter. She hates it. She tells me, why are these like the hipsters? Why all these girls wear these ankle socks and white sneakers in the winter? What's wrong with them? I'm like, I'm like, yo,
And
ma,
that's
those
probably because you guys actually have winter.
yeah, we
We
have
don't
actual
have
winter,
winter.
right? And in this winter, it's crazy because we pick up that LA culture, we pick up that West Coast culture, those vibes that's warm and sunny. And here you see a lot of warm and sunny colors in the winter, and I'm just not used to it. And especially since how I was raised, it is a little different when it comes up to sneakers, because my parents had their own beliefs on how we should celebrate and wear sneakers.
Going back, you said you would buy doubles of SBs. Do you see Nike SBs staying pat right now? Because you know how they faded away for a little bit, but they seem to be back. Are they
Everything
gonna
fades
phase out
away and
again?
comes back. So everything fades away and comes back, and in order for it to be able to come back, it has to fade. So fashion is cyclical. It's in cycles. So every sneaker that we love is gonna come back in a cycle. It's just a matter of when. So with SBs, I seen SBs starting to regrow back because I started to see so many celebrities. I mean, once you see Kylie Jenner in a fucking SB Doom, you already know that that shit is the newest hype sneaker. So when you see
Mm-hmm.
a Kardashian rocking a freaking classic silhouette, you already know it's a hype sneaker. So with you have the Migos introducing it to the little young people. You have the new young kids, the Uzi Verts wearing SBs. Now you have a new generation that never got to celebrate SBs. And the cycle is the new people that finally figure it out and love it. So in my ex- in my in this lifetime, I've seen SBs die twice.
Okay.
This is not the first time that SBs went dead. I seen SB when SBs first came out in New York, because I was very much aligned with the skate culture. So like I had a Supreme shirt in the late 90s. Like I was doing Bape. I had all the Bape camo hoodies probably like 99. And
I used to love those.
it's crazy because that's when right after that Weezy was rocking them, and then the hip hop culture really got put onto Bape with Pharrell and Weezy, and during that era. But way before that, you had kids in the late 90s. You had them in SBs, and you had them in Dunks, and you had them in Supremes, and that was big. And then it died, and then it came back. And then you had Todd Bradshaw creating like the most amazing SBs and that amazing.
Cigars.
My cigar box is one of my favorites. I actually flew to Tampa, to Florida, to Ybor City to get the exclusive pack. He hand signed the poster. I have the posters on my wall. So you have those, and then it died again, and now it's back, and I'm gonna see it die again because that's just what happened. So I've seen SBs die twice.
I see it dying a lot
Are they
sooner
gonna
than it
Hirachi
did the
it?
second time.
Maybe.
You
What
think
they
so?
did to the Hirachis, I call them Horachis. What they did to the Horachis was insane and incestuous. They made them in every color in 1 year and killed it. Killed it. I mean, super killed it. So now SBs. I haven't seen good designs on them though.
Me neither.
I haven't seen a good concept, honestly. So I am waiting for the strawberry cough. I think the strawberry cough is absolutely beautiful. I think the strange love was dope, but it was a low and it was
Oh, so you
dunky.
don't like lows?
Not in the SB, nah. But no, no, no.
Okay.
Why? Because I trash them so fast.
And
I,
see, with I feel like I was telling somebody, I said, when, like right now, the concepts that they're coming out with now, they're not attractive to me.
they're not,
That's
and
what I
they're not
feel like.
exciting, and they don't come with like. I remember when I got the Pee Wee Hermans, right? I, I got the Pee Wee Herman T-shirt where he's sitting in the. It's a gray
The movie
T-shirt,
theater.
and he's sitting in the movie theater, and he's at the end. So it was
Right.
those packs that made you want the SB. The Brain Rex. I got the Brain Rex poster with the Brain Rex skate deck with the Brain Rex sneaker. So it was like the other day I actually pulled out. I have a Married to the Mob SB that is a twill. It's a twill SB with navy blue, and nobody even knew about it, cared about it. I pulled that shit out the other day, and I'm like, this is fire. But Cheech and Chongs. I got like two or three pairs of Cheech and Chongs just because I burned one and I fucked it up. I tried to burn it and I fucked it up. It looks like a burn stain. It came out like a brown burn stain and I burned through the green. So I tried to burn it and I fucked it up. Then the second one, I wear that one, and that one the canvas got something black on it, and I've been cleaning it for years. It doesn't come out. And then my third one I rock, and that's the one that's clean and pretty, and I'm not deviating from it. But there's so many great SBs, and it was so many concepts, and it was that. And I think like when Concepts was doing like the glass windows and some,
Stained
I think
glass and
that's
all
where we
that.
left off with really good modern SBs.
But see, that was what I keep telling people. I said like there was a point in time, like right now, people love the Ben and Jerry one that's supposed to come out. I don't.
Neither.
Like it's
And
tacky
Ben and
and it was
Jerry doesn't
easy.
make sense to me. Other than these companies are trying to market through sneakers, which people need to peep that and peep game. Like, why a Ben and Jerry out of everything, right? It can't be that
Right.
some athlete just really loves Ben and Jerry. No, Ben and Jerry's paying into this. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
of
They're
course.
getting, this is them opening their market to, they're marketing to us through our feet, through our footwear. And then what happens? You want to take a picture with the Ben and Jerry's on, you're gonna go get Ben and Jerry's ice cream, right? Because that's what
You
you're gonna
have
see.
to.
You're gonna see everybody on Instagram and SBs, Ben and Jerry's, and the ice cream right next to their feet. All right, you're so predictable already with it. So it's like, because you're so predictable, now Nike could go and say, all right, you want to collaborate? This is how much you got to pay to collaborate. Look at what Clark Kent did with the mattress company, Serta, the sneaker.
Yeah.
So that was to raise awareness for Serta. It had nothing to do with anything else in the sneaker community. It's all marketing to us. Same thing like when they create, I love the Leica collaborations that Nike has with the production company. Those to me are like one of the best collaborations and the best designs in sneakers like ever. And that's because Tinker really owns those projects. Even, that's one of the only projects that brings him out of retirement every time for design. And that's just another way to sell out movies through sneakers. Like, everything is just marketing to us. But there was a point where it was just organic concepts. And these organic concepts were part of pop culture. And to me, a Ben and Jerry's don't make sense with pop culture right now.
Do you want to see those classic themed, dunks retro?
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I just don't think they have a place in modern society. Like, I think
Really?
I'm so inspired by everything that is in pop culture right now. I don't know how the brands are not. So why come out with a Pee Wee Herman, even if it was classic, when you have funnier new icons? Why not a Will Ferrell SB? Why not?
Mm.
Why not something that is modern, that is completely dope? Why not make a trap music SB? Why might not make something that applies to us?
Mm.
Why keep making shit that does not apply to this culture? Because you don't understand this culture and what we would like. right? With the emergence of like Kif and Kif treats, you have ice creams and cereals and things like that. That's been a part of design for a while. You've had Fruity Pebble embedded into LeBron's aesthetics. You have all these different things, and it's like, you know, Jordans were created based on what he liked and designed based on what his passions were.
Taste.
You got Lamborghinis, Ferraris, you got
Right,
cigars,
Ferraris, all that.
you got all of these different types of his personal passions that come right out of the sneakers. And it's like the brand should just create new SBs, new concepts, new ideas, instead of just retroing the old ones. Like that, if everything is retro, nothing is sacred. So if
Oh,
you're
well, see,
retroing every Jordan, every SB, every
but
Hirachi,
that's where I go back to what we talked about with the Yeezy Twos and the Grinch. I want some sacred things.
see, the
I think
difference is
those
with
should be
this for
sacred.
me is that the the SBs that you're speaking of are still
Oh,
wearable.
it's a culture.
It's still wearable.
Ah,
They're still wearable and they're still brand new. So a lot of people still have a lot of, I mean, SBs are great. It is one of the best manufactured quality Nike sneakers.
always
So
has been.
always has been. It's meant to grind on concrete. So what happened is that those sneakers are still wearable and looking good. So there's no need to retro a sneaker that you can still wear. Furthermore, you can still find a lot of them out there. Are they pricey? Yes, but you can still find them in the market. So it's like it's not even there's no need to retro it. There's a need to retro a sneaker that was not available for everybody, was not available in sizes for everybody, and was
Mm.
not and is no longer wearable for the people who have them. That's the
Okay,
difference to me.
Would you be fine with what they did with like the De La, taking the high, making it a low? They came out with a skunk low.
Yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
wasn't interested in getting them, but I think a lot of people who liked it were just because I got the OGs and I don't even wear them. I haven't worn my Delas in I want to say like 10 years. I haven't really bust out SBs just like I haven't bust out Blazers. Um Even after Blazers came back real quick, I haven't bust them out. I'm just not interested in them at this time, but I know a lot of people are.
You know what's crazy is like I haven't, even though like SBs are in and back or whatever you want to call it, I haven't broke mine out either. Like even though I'm loving that they're back and I'm appreciating this new wave, I still haven't brought mine back out. Like I haven't been like, yo, let me throw these on now.
I
It,
wore Cheech and Chong for 420, just because those are my favorite for 420.
right.
But that's pretty much it. I haven't really worn them either, because, I mean, I just haven't, I don't know. Me personally, I'm not into it. I did SBs. When nobody was doing SBs, I had my months where I was just wearing SBs. I was in Ferris Bueller's. I was just in SBs. And now I don't, I'm not inspired by them to join in on that. I'm in a different place. There's like new stuff that's coming out that I'm really inspired. The other day I was cleaning my sneaker room and I was like finding my fear gods, and I just got the new one, which made me look for the old ones. And then I was like putting away my Don C's because they go away for the summer. My twos go away for the summer because you can't wear them, they're not breathable. So I put my twos away. So I'm taking all this stuff out and I'm like, damn, this is my mood. And all winter I've been in foams because that's the only time you could wear foams. So I'm trying to wear, 100 pairs of foams, and it's like there's not enough days to just wear everything. And I really wanted to get it in with foams this year. So that's what I was doing, coupled with all the new stuff you're getting. Because sometimes, yeah, you know what? Those will all take a back burner for the new one that I'm obsessing over.
But but like you said, inspired. You got the new fear of God, so it inspired you to go look for the other fearing gods. I will say this dunk, wave has inspired me to go back and pull out some of my old dunks and look at them and consider them, but not enough to wear them.
Right. Like I have some, more recent dunks, like the paparazzis with the
Oh,
camera
okay,
on the side.
right.
Those I like because I like the concept of paparazzi. It kind of it really honestly reminded me of Lady Gaga's song Paparazzi. So it had a
It's a really
different
good
feel
song.
for me, and I think that's what sneakers are. It's a different feel and a different mood for everybody.
No, it is. Like, I mean, I've been buying so many Vans lately. Like, and it's a California thing.
It is.
And um and I've been buying them because I just been like we've been chilling so much. Like we just been chilling. We might go outside for a bit, sit outside, or maybe walk down the street. But
Right, it's a
Vans to
good
me
chilling
were always
sneaker.
the
You're right.
yeah.
It is a
So
good
it's like
chilling
the
sneaker.
ultimate cool out shoe. Even a Van. I'll wear Vans in the house. I'm wearing Vans right now just around my house. And it doesn't take much to put them on. It's not much work. You don't gotta like coordinate a crazy fit for it. You just throw some clothes on and you put your Vans on.
But
And like you
that's
said,
your
it is
quarantine
moods.
mood.
It is.
That's your quarantine
Now
mood. My
now when
quarantine mood has been clog posits. I've been in clog posits for like 50 days already. I have like 3 pairs and I just been in clog posits because I'm just trying to, and that's why I was thinking, that's why I referred back to Jordan 1 lows, is that I'm looking for something easy to slip in and out of when I just got to go get the mail, come back up, when I just got to go to the store and come right back.
facts.
So I'm not looking to stick my whole foot in a whole uh
No.
sneaker that needs to be laced, tied. Honestly, it's
Right.
just the laziness, and I think quarantine is making me sneaker lazy because I just don't want to go through changes putting on a sneaker. And I think I got the Yeezy 700 MNVN, the phosphor, and
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
the work to put that sneaker on my fat foot was enough for me to say this is not for me, because I no
Like
longer care to go through that work to put. And I never like sock sneakers, and I don't want to I don't even want to start with anything I have to pull into my foot. No thanks.
like it's funny with like everybody watching the Bulls documentary, The Last Dance and stuff, and everybody's pulling out their Jordans and they're throwing on their Jordans to watch it.
Beyond
And
Jordans,
I
people are pulling out the Chicago colorways. If you look at StockX, any sneaker in a Chicago colorway,
any
any, is through the roof right now. Even sneakers that were $150 before this documentary are now through the roof. And it's just on the original Chicago colorway. Everybody wants that red, black, and white colorway right now with the
and
emergence
it's
of
funny
that
because like
documentary.
the first few episodes I didn't put anything on, and then like when the Rodman episode came up, I went and found my OG
Oh,
pair of
oh,
Rodmans from
oh,
seventh grade.
oh,
I found them.
same,
I didn't. It took
same.
so much work. It took so much work
You
to
know
pull them
what?
out and put them on. I didn't. I was like, I'm not doing this
I
anymore.
felt so passionate when I saw that episode. Why? Because we all loved Rodman, but we all thought he was a
Right.
fucking Looney Tune, right? Because we thought he was, the media portrayed him to be crazy. The media portrayed him to be a wild boy. The media portrayed him to be possibly gay. The media was
Right.
portraying him at the time to be so many things. To see him, his story, and to see him simply put, because we can all relate, to see him simply put as just a creative. That's what he is. He was just a, and it's, and back to that stigma that, athletes are just athletes. Athletes can be creatives, and I think that's what Kobe was trying to do before his passing, is demonstrate that athletes are multifaceted. And what this documentary showed was like Dennis Rodman was somebody who was a creative, who was top of his game, who was the best, at what he did. And just to show
Right.
that he had personality, to show that he was, he loved women, to show how he loved women, like that was all countering everything they used to say about him back in the day. I always loved and destructs that's like,
Love them.
mm, they're delicious, they're yummy, they're tasty, they're everything. So I just love them. And when I saw that episode, I said, they all coming out. They all coming out. I'm bringing out all my Rodmans. And I
Yep.
I I have a recent pair that I got like 2 or 3 years ago, a really nice one, a pink one, and I can't wait to just walk in the streets in that one. It was absolutely beautiful. But I'm so empowered to wear Rodmans now just because of how they finally corrected the perception on him. And I think, he probably has some great peace now, because it's crazy, because now every young rapper looks like exactly what Rodman was doing in his era.
Thank you. See, and that's where you go back to what you're saying about being a creative. Like back then, and you're right. When we grew up, man, come on. Like Rodman was like cool, but the way it was portrayed and stuff, you didn't want to be like him,
In
covered in
Spanish, they would
tats,
say he's
colored
a
hair.
loco. They'd be like, he's a loco. He
Right.
paints his hair crazy, and he got nose rings and he paints his nails and he's just,
Wearing
he's
a
a
wedding
fruit.
dress
He's
and
a fruit. He's
makeup and
a crazy guy. He wears leopard
right.
fur jackets and things like that.
And
But
now, like you said, now you look at our rappers, you look at like Vert, you look at people like that, and you're like, they, they're him. Now today, it's like, yo, that's cool, that's the creative, that's that. But there's people that've been doing it that laid that took those bullets. Rodman took those bullets and
he
shots
did.
for people to be themselves.
He did.
Now, he did. And especially being on the team that he was on, you had Jordan, who was viewed as just the clear cut. I love this documentary on so many levels because it shows Jordan it's okay to have that killer instinct. Like it's perfectly fine.
Well,
You know,
it also shows
it,
that he wasn't this picture perfect
no,
sweetheart that people want to be. This helps LeBron. This documentary helps LeBron look like a great
one hundred
guy.
percent,
This documentary helps because people are so angry at LeBron. And you know what? I'm the first one I have to say here. Every time he catches a tantrum, I have to fucking get away from the TV because I want to strangle him. Like, you too big to have a tantrum. Like, stop it.
right,
And anytime he has a tantrum, but then I always have to humble myself and remember Jordan used to run up in your ear and talk shit in your ear, and he was a
right,
douche like that. And I remember, like, during when Jordan was playing, I used to sit and watch the games because I grew up in a house with one TV and the men in my house ran the TV. So my brother and my father ran the TV and it was always sports because they every season they celebrate every sport. And when
mm-hmm,
basketball was on, I really liked basketball, but more importantly, I used to stare at their feet. So I used to sit right in front of the TV because they would sit on the sofa and I'm real low and I'm looking at all the feet and they're like, "You saw that shot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's wearing Jordan 4s." And they'll be like,
right,
"That's not what we're saying. Wait, did you see the game?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "But why are they all in LeBron's?" And recently I said, "Why are the whole WNBA wearing a whole team was in LeBron's?" And I'm like, "Why are they all in fucking LeBron's? Like, it doesn't
right.
make sense because till this day I look at feet and play in basketball. That's and then from there I feel like I could tell the next trend, the next release, the next colorway. Why are they using that color as opposed to this one? Where is that colorway coming from? What's the symbolism of it? And I already know if it's a hit or miss when that one's coming out. And that's how
Well,
it
like you
was
said, like
my whole life,
back
just growing up.
And that's what you said. Like back then, when it came to watching sports, I tell people all the time, if it wasn't for in-hand magazine publications, the way you knew a sneaker was getting ready to come out or what it looked like was actually watching the basketball games. I love the Kamikaze 2 and the Shacknosis because those you look on the court and you could see them. You were hoping
Yeah, I
for
used to love Shacknosis.
a good enough camera shot close enough to the sneaker so you can get a good peek of it. There was no internet. There was no social media. You had to say that, yo, I need those. I want those. You rarely saw back in the day. There were Bulls players that would wear Jordans on the team with Jordan or wear Pippins with Pippins. But like you said, nowadays, like for me personally, if I was in NBA, I could never wear LeBron and play against LeBron, and stuff like that. And that's where those stories and that history comes from. And I
Exactly.
love seeing that.
It's
Man, there was
crazy
something
because
else I
in
was going to
Puerto
ask you.
Rico, in Puerto Rico, the island itself loves basketball, and their college league is very intense. Is some like every town has their own university that has their own basketball team. So it's our division, it's our top level divisions. And the island together, men and women, grandmas, grandpas, it's something that really brings us a lot of joy. So wins and games, they celebrate, they cook food, they bang on pots, they're in the streets. Those college players get a lot of respect. That's why PR have beat the USA because they
Right.
don't play with the basketball, but it's something that's just embedded. So growing up, the island, I mean, they love Jordan. They fucking love Jordan. So it was like
Hmm.
over there, you wanted Jordan sneakers, but you would take a Jumpman, you would take a Team Jordan, you'll take anything with his logo on it. So, and I always tell Jordan Brand, the island of Puerto Rico kept Team Jordan and Jumpman sneakers alive. That kept your whole brand alive because those are the that's the bread and butter of that company, that those types of sneakers that were selling out because people just idolized them. So when Kobe passed, there was earthquakes like for for 30 days happening in Puerto Rico. They truly made like a 30-foot, they turned a 30-foot mural. They made a 30-foot mural of Kobe dedicated to him because they love basketball. So I grew
Hmm.
up just like growing up in a very pro Puerto Rican environment, just watching basketball, loving basketball, celebrating basketball, and the sneakers were part of it.
So you said you're talking to like you've worked with brands before, right?
I work with several brands, yeah.
Okay. When these opportunities you've had to work with brands or talks, focus groups, I'm not exactly sure to what capacity, do they actually listen?
I've worked, so like I did like the Reebok podcast about 5411s. So it was
Okay.
like the story of Reebok and the early story and my personal experience with the Reebok and this the message to leave for people why they should listen to the podcast and what it's about. And I've gotten to be in a lot of creative content with the brands because I'm beyond the point of them listening to me and just letting them let me lead and create. So in the beginning, it was a lot of demonstrating to them why I'm a leader, demonstrating to them what makes me a leader, demonstrating to them is my place in the culture. So a lot of that took a lot of long work. Do they listen? They know the issues a lot of the time, but they have a lot of turnover with staff. And they also have staff. I mean, look at the requirements, right? You come out of college, you go into one of these companies, you don't know much about sneaker culture, or nowadays, you know a little bit about sneakers, but not about the culture. So you know about what sneakers come out and you like them and you work in a brand, but you don't have a connection to the emotion of these consumers and who these
Right.
consumers directly are. And I
See,
think that's
that's
the
where
problem with a lot of brands. They don't have that connection. And furthermore, they didn't have many women. So now we're at a point where they're hiring more women. I'm seeing a lot of women in the brands. I'm meeting a lot of women in brands. So women were arguing, oh, there's not enough women. Now they're hiring more. Is it enough? No. Could we do better? Yes. But they've made a start. And I do think for the most part, they listen, they just don't understand.
okay, like you saying they're bringing in more women. This is where I go back to like bringing in women or bringing in women with the knowledge and the experience to be able to really make a difference.
They should saying bringing in women should never even be a saying. They should have always just had the women side by side with the men
True.
creating. So are they ever I don't have belief that they're ever like people who work in these brands who do like marketing, who do because there's different aspects, design, right? I think one of the, best female designers, you have at Judy at Reebok and you have Tiffany at Nike. And it's like, uh, you know, can we get to know these designers? Do we know these women that are designing? Do you introduce these women that are working in your companies to the public to get to know,
Right.
do they have passion for this? And it's like I've met women that work in these sneaker brands that don't have an ounce of the passion that I have, who don't have the business acumen that I have for this, that can also relate it directly right to the consumer's damn sneaker room. And but they're given these opportunities and because they have degrees. And I have degrees too, but that's just not my job field. But there's a lot of other women, especially women of color, who may just have an associate's degree, but they won't get these opportunities because they don't have a bachelor's in marketing, in this business, in this field. So that stinks.
Yeah, see, that's where a lot of the things, where the disconnect does come from. Like, being involved in the culture and understand that, like, when you get to the business side of it, there are these requirements that these companies are looking for that may not include what you know and
But
have.
it's crazy
Now, luckily
because
for you, you have both.
so many sneaker lovers think that they understand the business of sneakers. And you really don't until you really sit and understand. It's like the government. You think you know all about government until you be like, what the fuck did they just do? So you think you
Hmm.
really understand until you really understand the intricacies of business. And you have to formally understand that through education. It's not something that you could just pick up out there and run with, because at the end of the day, the companies are functioning like businesses. They're following policy and procedure. They have their policies in terms of releases, policies in terms of color use, policies in terms of contracts with athletes that they can and cannot do things. So it's like you have to incorporate that all back into design and releases. It's not the easiest thing in the world. It's not just creating something and launching it. It takes a lot of work behind it. But I do think that some of these brands should learn more from retailers who do learn directly from the public. The key here is that the retailers are the ones that learn everything about us, because they have us coming in and out, talking to us, meeting us, dealing with us. They know what we buy, what we don't buy. So it's like they're the ones that have the pulse, not really the brands, but the retailers. And you see retailers creating, you see retailers doing give backs, you see retailers getting involved. Why? Because they understand their consumer. So I am seeing more of the positive in the retail space as opposed to the brand space.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that.
So
Like, it's
for what
just,
I've
it is,
done with
it's a,
like brands is create content. So like the Reebok podcast, I was part of that. Then with the collective, create content for the collective. Like for Air Max month, we did a time capsule with Jimmy Jazz. So we did my partner and I did a time capsule where it was you would submit a video about your favorite Air Max and why you love it and your message to future Air Max lovers. And it was a competition, and they won a prize from Jimmy Jazz. So I've been blessed to be able to create. I've worked with Foot Locker. I did a campaign. I did one of their first plus size campaigns. They took in their first plus size brand, which was Lola Getz. And I actually, if you've seen the emails that came out introducing that brand, I was on the emails. I also did the Foot Locker, the locker looks with them, where they actually came into my sneaker room and we dug into some sneakers for them.
oh yeah, I remember that.
So I've did like quite a few. I've done quite a few amazing projects that I'm just, I'm humbled and I'm so proud of, but I still have a long way to go in this. And the space just keeps changing. If you read my manifesto on Walk Like Her, which is on Walk Like Us, it was 5 years ago. And I presented all the problems in the women's space 5 years ago. If you read that, those are the complaints that women are still complaining about now, but they're not very valid anymore, because they're
Hmm.
complaining about they want more product for women. There is more product, but you're complaining about one brand, because the only brand to complain about more product, the only brand to complain about more women designers, the only brand to complain about anything with women is Jordan Brand. That's it. And Jordan Brand is making really big changes, because recently Jordan Brand launched the women's collection of clothing. They needed apparel so bad. We've never had apparel for women through Jordan Brand. Now we have apparel, and furthermore, they're making apparel for bigger women. So is it the answer for all plus size women? No, because most collaborations now are stopping at a 3X. There are women who are 4X, 5X, 6X, and that's a very small market that brands don't know how to, it's a big market that brands don't know how to attack, because they find it to be very small, or won't sell out, or it's going to sit. But it's actually a huge market, because there's so many women in those sizes. But we've made great progress. And I always tell women, if you want to see more progress, buy the products. You have to tell these brands that we're listening and we're out here. If you keep buying men's products, men's sneakers, youth sneakers, when they look at their numbers, they don't see a woman buying youth sneakers. They don't see a woman buying men's sneakers. They're men and youth, and women's is very low on that purchasing power. So you have to really speak through your dollars. And speaking through your dollars is how you make change as a consumer. If we all went on strike tomorrow and said we're not getting any Jordans for a week, these brands would lose their minds,
Oh yeah.
because that's a very powerful, like, sneaker collectors, like people who buy sneakers, we're powerful beyond what we understand. If we all rolled out a campaign tomorrow and said every sneaker collector is going to vote in America is going to vote for not Trump, we would rock elections. We crash the internet. We consistently crash the internet. We consistently break barriers. If we would use this for something collectively, we can take over the world. We can do anything that we want to do collectively, just because there's so many of us who have one common interest who can make big changes.
I don't know if you're aware. I'm sure you can feel it, but we're at 3 hours.
Oh God,
Okay.
go
This is
away.
a really good
Go
conversation.
away.
Okay.
And split this up into like multiple, like a series, because this is too much for humans to listen to at one time. They're gonna be like, yo,
I
those two. When it comes up to talking about sneakers, this is what I do. This is what I could do. I could go, and there's so much shit we have. Like I could go, and there's just so many things. It's a beautiful thing, and it's crazy how with men somehow I mean, anytime I do like an interview or podcast, or I have this, even a regular conversation with a male about sneakers, it just goes in, because I find that men are so, the more you talk, the more I think women intrigue. And now you start asking questions that you didn't even plan to ask, but now you're just like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
And that's true. Like that's why I said when a lot of the things that I've said on my last episode when I had Ruby on, some of the things were just from my experience with it, and then having a conversation with somebody like you who has been a part of it for so long, it clears it up better. It opens it up better. You've mentioned people that I am going to check out. You've mentioned situations to where it's my responsibility to engage in conversations more with women who do know their stuff you know and there are times where you might hit them with a like, but you may not say like, "Yo, would you get that?" You might not ask a question. You might not say something. And what you did today on this podcast, I think you're gonna open up a lot of other people' opinions, like and thought process into it. You're very smart. You're very
Thank you.
intelligent. The conversation is really good. You're knowledgeable. I
I've
had in my
given
mindset when we started, I said, if this goes to 4 hours, I'm gonna have to break this up to two because it has the potential to do so. And I love letting people with your experience come on and talk. I've had other people come on the podcast. Let them talk. Let them explain. Let them share their experiences. You don't have to hear me all the time, but man, I love that. Like it's phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, for just having me on the podcast. I think you have there's a cultural presence that you provide, and some of your opinions are like I said, I argue with them because they're opinions and they're very opinionated, and it's just like they're not the common opinion. So when I see something and even content that's created like that, I'm like, oh wow, you know what? You put some kind of thought. You put a very interesting thought into this pot of the sneaker community. You put an interesting twist to it. And I think I challenge sneaker collectors, like, create your own content, whatever it is, like whatever it is that you do. You draw, you sing, you write poetry, whatever it is that you do, incorporate your sneaker life into it.
And keep
Incorporate your
going.
and keep going, incorporate your passion into it. Right now, if you go on Etsy, which is like handcrafted stuff, one
Right.
of the most popular categories is sneaker inspired. And they make, coasters, they make little um gloves. Right now they're making masks. Everything is sneaker inspired, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's my lifestyle, so I'm so into it. But I think more authentic people need to create and share with us so that we can it's like supporting our own, right? So it's like how the Hasidic Jews do. They only buy from each other. They only wear from each other. So it's like
Right.
I want to continue to support people who create, in this space, without judging, without alienating. Like I wish for the most part that I couldn't see most of these people. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. I want to feel you through your feet. I want to get to know you through your feet. I feel like most of these people never needed to speak, and you could tell big stories about them through what they're wearing on their feet. I feel like I could tell where you're from, how old you are, what you do. I could tell so many things, especially about a man. Because if, like, I had this conversation with a girlfriend, if a guy comes up to me and he's wearing a pair in New York, and I just look at his feet and he's in a pair of Nike Cortez, you're over 40 and that's it. And if I see a guy in Reebok, nylons or classics, you were in jail. you definitely either just came home or those are your jail kicks. And it's crazy because I was talking about jail sneakers. Like, there are sneakers that are just known for being jail sneakers, and you'd never wear them in the street. So
And
everybody's
see that, and that's a region thing, because if I saw somebody wearing Reebok classics out here, I would just be saying like, oh, like that's you're probably your only pair of sneakers.
right.
If I saw somebody wearing a Reebok classics, like you usually don't wear
So what's
sneakers.
the
That's your
sneaker
only
you
pair of sneakers.
identify as a jail sneaker?
A gel sneaker to me would be like a solid color Van with no laces, just a slip on. That's what I view
Wow, like
as
a
a gel
ninja
sneaker.
sneaker.
Yeah,
Wow, like the ninja
that's what
sneaker. That's hysterical.
that's what I would view as, you know.
That's
And when you talk,
hysterical, ninja sneaker. That's so
and see,
funny.
you said a Cortez. You said a
Cause that,
Cortez on the
all
East
right.
Coast. You saw
So
somebody over
there's a
40.
list
I
of
see somebody with a Cortez now. I think of like, oh man, gangster. We call them dope mans. They're dope mans, you know.
so over here, dopes are foams, and we got that from Maryland. So if you see a person wearing a pair of dopes, they're wearing foams. If you see a person wearing dope runners, they're wearing New Balance, because the guys that used to sell dope, the bosses used to wear the foams, right? Because they used
Right.
to run through the street. But then the people that used to run the work up and down the block used to be a New Balance. So I used to call them dope runners. But that's a real
That's crazy.
Baltimore DC thing. New York got up on that late. But here in New York, there's only a few sneakers that you could send into the prison system. One, it has to have a price cap, and two, it has a color cap. And that is how some of these sneakers got to be known as prison sneakers. So for a long time, you would never see a person in a Nike Cortez, because that's one of the only sneakers under $50 that you could get through the prison walls. So, and that fit the color criteria. So out here, if you was in Cortez, you was locked up. So, and furthermore, you was locked up a long time ago. So now, if you wear them now out here, you are old hat. So I would see them and be like, oh God, that guy needs to get away from me with his Cortez on. Like, these guys were looking at me and my friends, and they were wearing Harachis, lows. I was like, never, never. I'd never date you. Never. I'd never date you. And feet,
See, you can't be like that though.
I am 100%. Like,
You
me
you can
personally,
be,
I
but
can't go outside and flex on my man. I could never go outside and flex on my man. Like, I'm a diehard hard
oh,
body sneaker collector. There is no way I'm gonna go outside flexing on my man. That's not gonna happen. First of all, it is not what arouses me, and it will never be what stimulates me. I love sneakers, so I love a man that could go in on a collection. I love a man that could represent himself and make a statement through his feet. And at a like the way I collect, this is only me. I can only date men who have bigger, better collections than me.
oh,
And
come
it is not
on.
the only criteria, it is the first criteria. Of course, afterwards you have to be sane, stable, and established.
Jixie, what you talking about
In that
here?
order,
Come
look,
on,
look,
Jixie.
sane is first.
Jixie, what are you talking about?
Sane, stable, and established, right? But sneakers, sane, stable. That's what it is right there.
So
Sneakers,
three
sane,
S's.
stable. So the three S's.
Sn-
So the first thing is your sneaker collection. So basically, I have this God's only philosophy. So sneaker God's only. So, and
oh,
for
Jixie,
the
come on.
simple reason, like, I can't sit here and crush you. I can't sit here and be like, damn, my girl out here just, and then I have like a wimp who is in a wimpy sneaker. Get out of here with your wimpy sneaker.
What's a wimpy sneaker?
A wimpy sneaker. Let me see, a wimpy
Come on.
sneaker for me. Definitely a Hirachi. I could never date a Hirachi dude.
Yeah, but okay, whoa. Why now? It has it turned into that? Sure, but if you are a real sneaker collector, now if I come out wearing a Hirachi Low because I was there when the Hirachi Low was originated, how would you know?
Nah, you know what it is? Now the Hirachi Low is a fucking chicken head sneaker. So men and women who wear it, you give it up on the first date. So if I see you in that sneaker, I'm just gonna look at you. First of all, I'm gonna look at your little ankles, and I'm gonna be like, ill. He's got his whole little ankles out and his little freaking Hirachis that he has to slide on like a freaking girl.
Oh my
They used to
god.
slide, like, it's something that's so feminine about it to me. So when I look at it,
Oh,
it's just like, ew, it's so freaking tacky. And then second of all, it's like it's such a abused, oversaturated, thought regular. Ugh. So it's like, all right, it meant something before, but Nike horachied it out. So there's no more going back to the nostalgia of that sneaker because we had it 180 times in 1 year. It was like, oh, I remember that sneaker.
you
Oh, then that sneaker, then that one, then that one. Oh, then that one, and a triple white, and a triple S, and a triple red, and a triple black. And it's like, oh, wow, look, only in UK only. Oh, wow, cool. Let me get this one. It's from China. It was too much. They horachi that
you
out.
you you can say that about the Jordan 1.
Oh, that's the newest whore. Yeah, that's the newest little slut. But you know what? With that little slut, they know they slutted it out. That's why the mids are coming through. So now the mids and the lows are coming through. But there are some great collaborations within the Jordan 1. It is an iconic silhouette. I can't say that about a Hirachi. So I can't say that some, oh my God, an amazing collab, amazing material, amazing. There's nothing amazing about it. So a Jordan 1 is different because there are a lot of amazings about it. First of all, it's an iconic sneaker. It's the first Jordan. It is what it is.
True.
Is it boring now to buy the same like GRs of it? Absolutely. But do I like to see collaborations on it? Absolutely. Do I love to see a guy in it? Absolutely. Especially like a very nice one, a very rare one, a very dope one.
Dang, man. I guess
I'm
I
harsh.
mean,
You know, you
obviously.
you think some of these women, like some of these women that collect sneakers, yeah, they're looking at men's collections. They're looking at y'all. And you know what? When these sneakerhead men are the worst. They slide in girls' DMs like all you gotta do is put up a dope sneaker. The girl, you don't even need to see the girl, and you already got guys in there with the eyes like, hey,
Oh, I'll tell you this. Having this
hey,
podcast,
eyes, eyes,
and
eyes.
people that listen to this podcast, there's a few women that listen to podcasts. They always send me screenshots of like guys that had listened to our show that slide into their DMs, and it'd be like that simple, hey, not trying to bother you or anything. I just want to let you know, man, your collection is on fire. And it's like, come on, get out the
Yeah, that's the
DMs.
starting point. And then it goes to your collection's on fire. I want to see you in those sneakers and wearing nothing else. Or I had like I don't know what about my page says slide in my DM, but there's something about my sneaker collection even before I had a photo of myself. When I first started off on Instagram, I never posted a picture of myself. It was just of my feet. So when I started posting pictures of myself, people became very interested. And I would just post like some selfies. And then when I started posting like a few full photos, which I don't do that often, but I try to let people see like it's not only about my sneakers. I actually like drip. So I actually like style and my my makeup is sneaker inspired, my nails, like this just part of my daily. So when I seen that, when I posted that, I started getting some weird DMs. I got like the people with the foot fetishes. They want to see your feet, but I'm like, what about my page says feet? It says sneakers. So no, I'm not gonna send you any foot pictures. And just like you got the wrong idea here. This is about sneakers, not feet. And then you have like I had somebody ask me for like belly button pictures. Then I had this weird creep who I kept blocking. Yo, I kept blocking this person, and all they would do is every time I posted a sneaker, like I posted the fighter jet foams, and they were like, "Oh man, I would love to bend you over in those," and literally responded to the photo.
What?
Then I posted like Ferraris, 14s. So I posted a pair of Ferraris. That same person under another page was like, "Oh man, I can't bend you over in the fighter jets, so I'll just have to slap your ass in these." And I'm like, "What the fuck? How do you keep what? Like, who has the energy to keep creating pages and continue a conversation where you got blocked 2 months ago?" So
Cats are
it's like,
weird.
yo, some dudes is just crazy. And then, I had some dudes like, yo, I'm here for the sneakers, but now that I saw you're I'm like, no, no you're to me. No, no yours, please and thank you. Like let's have platonic conversation, but that's a whole different topic of just about how men I think because we're all in one community, I think this personal opinions, but I think we've gotten real trashy with it in terms of DMing and becoming very formal or informal with each other. You have so
Facts.
many people, married in the sneaker space, but then they all trying to slide on the side with everybody else and go to these events, and there's so much like ratchettery going on, and it's like, how did we get to this point? But I do think
That
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 women
that
women should be, again, given the utmost respect in this space. And if like, the proper way to slide in a DM would be with a compliment, would be with an introduction. First of all, it's not like, hey, I saw you on this podcast and you did dope. It will be like, hi, my name is, Juan Pablo. I'm from I'm from, Guatemala, and
right.
I saw you on this podcast. I liked you. I related to you because, start with something that doesn't creep a bitch the fuck off, because it's so easy for right now. What social media did to us is make us very informal. We have so many acquaintances, so many people, and then we'll say, oh, that's my friend, but they're not a friend. You haven't even built a relationship with them. You don't know anything about them. So it's like, start with what you would do in person. You wouldn't come up to somebody and say, hey, I saw you on a podcast, and no, who the hell are you? First of all, who are you? What do you like sneakers too? Are you like, where can we relate to have a conversation,
right.
to then let the woman decide? Because a woman will press a dude. A woman will say, damn, I'm feeling you. A woman, you got to give the woman an opportunity. It's like, women don't want easy men. They don't want a man they could just bag in 2 seconds off of a freaking app chat DM. A woman wants to sit
Right.
here and feel like, you know what, this guy is just as exclusive as my sneakers. And that's how I look at it. I always want to have a man that is as rare and exclusive as sneakers. That's why I'm a collector, because I want to be the only one to have certain things. I want to have the most rarest of sneakers. And I think that translates into my personal life as well, where I want somebody who is exclusive, who takes care of themselves, who's rare, who's different. I don't want that same type of feel and that same vibe. And I think a lot of women I spoke to have the kind of almost a very similar perspective towards that. Like, they don't want to have somebody who's overly putting eyeballs on every woman's under their pictures, or putting booty
So
peaches
corny.
under it, or saying what up to everybody. Like, you're overexposed, and that's just so tacky. So usually these guys that end up in your DM, they are the overexposed.
All right. I think we need to get off.
He's like, this is gonna go a whole nother direction.
Now you know we're gonna talk again, right? You're gonna give me some time, another time to talk again, right?
Definitely,
Okay.
we need to get this. We need to keep an update going. So what's happened
We
since
do.
the last time? Well, what's
I like
happened
this.
is, no, I had a really good time just talking about all of this stuff. Some of these things I haven't thought about or talked about in so long, and
Good.
some of the questions you had in the topics are still so relevant, where I've heard these questions. Like, I did an interview a few days ago, and I was asked, a few similar questions. So it's interesting to see, like, there's trends and topics of conversations as well.
Yeah. I mean, it transitions, so I know I definitely have a lot more that we can talk about another time. Is there anything else you want to give your social medias and everything?
Oh, sure. So you can find me at Kixie Jixie. That's KIXIE JIXIE on Instagram. And that's about it. I don't do the Twitter just because I find it so hard to just balance one social media, two social media, let
It is.
alone everything else. So that's where you can find me and keep up with what I'm doing, what I'm writing, what I'm launching, what events I'm working on, what content I'm working on. And right now, I'm in quarantine capital of the United States, the gateway of viruses. So I'm being very short and sweet with content, but posting anything. But my stories are very entertaining right now and very
All right.
personal.
That sounds good. All right, Kixie. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye. Nothing else to say. I thought that was a good conversation, really good in-depth conversation. Opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I think it's gonna open up a lot of listeners' eyes. This is the Best Sneaker Podcast. ever to me and to you. Pow, 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 pow.